Your home for Kings talk and so much more.
Live and local.
Allen Stiles on Sacktown Sports.
Yes, yes, yes. We have made it to Friday, and it's not just any Friday. It's a River Cats Friday here on Sacktown Sports. You know I love when I get scheduled on Fridays for our Sacramento River Cats. And I'm juiced up right now. We're going to take you up to 2 p.m. The Drive guys are going to follow up after that to take you to your weekend. And just like every day here on the Allen Stiles Show, there's plenty to get into. The 3-1 story. Every single day we go back and forth. Now today, the Knicks not only can beat the Pacers, now all of a sudden, if they do what they did last night, according to Brian Windhorst, whoever it is, they could challenge OKC. The joke that runs with the NBA, how many days without being unnecessarily dramatic, without unnecessary drama, it's hilarious to me. And I love it because now Tyrese Haliburton's a bum. He's a bum today. And oh, wait, Becky Hammond's wrong. Jalen Brunson is that guy. That's how it works. Now we'll see what happens tomorrow because I will say this. Everybody knows we've watched it happen. All the pressure is on Indiana. All the pressure is on Indiana. And this is a situation that they have not been in. These closeout games, we can joke about teams that have blown 3-1 leads before, the Thunder, the Warriors. That game 6, you got to get it done. You have to get it done. And funny enough, to bring it back to the Kings, one of the only times we saw it flip was in 2023 when you win in Golden State and then lose at home. You never really see it. But of course, that's the Kings for you. But most of the time, that pivotal game 6, that team that's in that position to close out, whatever the case may be, you have to get it done. You have to get it done when you have that opportunity. Kyle Ledbetter behind the glass for us today. And like I said, we have a trade candidate as well. This one is interesting because the way you have to take on money, right, means that you have to do sign and trades to get some of this done, even if they are a version of a free agent or a free agent. So even when you see free agents, if you are the Kings, unless they're under a certain threshold, it has to be some version of a sign and trade. So let's get to the hints right now. This is a fun one. I'm really excited because this is a tough conversation. This is a guy whose PR struggled. He was playing in a huge market. His PR struggled. The team essentially did better without him last season. This is such a hint, but it's Friday. Part of a huge trade towards the end of last offseason.
Got to be a little more ambiguous with these hints.
I like when people get them. You're either too ambiguous or not ambiguous enough. Had a pretty good playoff series, but it did not end well. A pretty good playoff run this season recently ended, did not end well. That's it. I'm not even giving you position because Kyle won't let me. So that's all you got.
You got to go conference, position, and some identifying trade.
Western Conference. That's all I got for you. 11 o'clock, huge trade, had a good run, did not end well. And this is a guy who we can go back and forth with who he is. Some people think he's empty calories. Some people think that he may have taken a leap. So that's coming up at 11 o'clock. Jake LaRavia speaks. Okay, at 10:30, we're discussing Jake LaRavia and everything that he had to say about his future with the Kings. And, of course, you have a new hire that we are going to break down in about 8 minutes here. Kings hire Chris Darnell as assistant coach. So we were just talking to Brendan Nunez and Chris Watkins yesterday about how they're going to build out the rest of this coaching staff, the offense, things like that. And the very next day, we get some news. The coach of the Cleveland Charge, the G League affiliate, he is now going to come out to Sacramento to be an assistant coach under Doug Christie. We talk about the Kings cycle. Kyle has cooked up a Kings cycle, which will be fun and sad at the same time because that's just how it goes. And, of course, it's a football Friday. Okay, it's a football Friday, and we're discussing the San Francisco 49ers and the idea that the Cowboys are saying stuff out loud about Dak as far as his development, paying a $60 million a year salary to somebody that, now I get it. Hey, everybody's developing technically. Stephen A. $100 million contract. Stephen A. probably could tell you that he could be better in some ways. But the head coach saying that, it's kind of crazy to me. So we have the details on that. Who has the better season in 2025, 2026? Is it the Cowboys or the Niners? We are going to renew that rivalry. And if you're listening, that house that I love to talk about with the half Cowboys, half Niners flag, that I've never seen that before. They took it down not too long ago. I'm sure it's going to come back up during the season. That segment is for you. The 3-1 situation is crazy, man. It's crazy. And we've seen this happen before. And like I said, one of the rare situations where the team that had home court in Game 7 won Game 6, then lost Game 7. That was the Sacramento Kings. But most of the time, the team that gets that Game 6, and that wasn't a 3-1 situation, right? The Sacramento Kings did not blow a 3-1 lead.
But the road team won 5, 6, and 7 either way.
And so maybe that, what are we still saying? Remember when people were saying that game is drunk? I'm so glad that's over now. That was so overplayed. So that was maybe 2-3 years ago now. I think I heard Dave say it, or Dave tweeted it a couple months ago. But you know how Dave is, he's a little late on stuff.
Yeah, the playoffs. There's a lot going on.
There's a lot going on.
Not as much recently, but
so a 3-1 series. It kind of reminds me of and I know Chris Verlod's back there who loves soccer. What is it, Chris? A 2-1 lead or 2-0 lead going into halftime in soccer is the most dangerous lead. 2-0 lead. Is that correct? Yeah, he's giving me the thumbs up.
It's 2-0, Allen.
2-0. Sorry. 2-0. I got the Roland Garros on. I got tennis on. I'm talking soccer. I got hockey.
Is that how you say it, Roland?
I never really said it out loud.
I thought it was Roland.
Depends on where you're from.
I guess. Roland.
So
never heard that one.
The 3-1 lead, to me, is not the same as the 2-0 in soccer, but I think it's pretty close. And obviously, 3-1 leads don't get blown a lot, but it does feel like it comes off as maybe a smidge more embarrassing than it should be if the team that has the 3-1 lead is not the better team, right? LeBron was just on, I think it was the Mind the Game podcast, and he said that in 2016, the Warriors were the better team, but they just couldn't overcome the momentum shift and also Draymond not playing famously or infamously in one of those games. But a lot of people thought prior to Kevin Durant joining that Cavs team, even though the Warriors had a better regular season, that Cavs team was actually better. Where Steph Curry was, I know he's coming off the unanimous MVP, but I think we have plenty of evidence to show that doesn't mean everything. And a lot of people feel like that Cavs team was actually better. So when you look at the Pacers and Knicks, I believe the Pacers will win in Indiana with Tyrese Haliburton's pops in the suite. I believe they will. But if you believe that the Knicks are the better team and they rattle off 3 straight, which I think we all thought the Knicks would win this series. Like a lot of people thought the Knicks would win this series. If the Pacers do blow it, am I tripping to say maybe it's not as embarrassing as it would come off? If you blow a 3-1 lead to a team that we all believe is better than you, but you have been playing better You choke, don't get me wrong. It's the equivalent to me as if it's a 15 and a 2 seed, right? If you blow a 15 in the NCAA tournament, and by the way, they're trying to expand the NCAA tournament to 76 teams or something crazy like that. But if you are a 15 seed, and it's not that far of a difference, honestly, it's 3-4 with the Knicks and the Pacers. But it just hang with me now, because I do think a lot of people had the Knicks picked because the Cavs weren't healthy, things like that. And what the Knicks did against the Celtics prior to Jason Tatum injury. So maybe not 15-2, right? But maybe a 12-5 game with a 12 seed and a 5 seed. And that 12 seed is up 15, 20 points going into the half, and they end up losing that game. Two things can be true. Yeah, it was a choke job, but nobody had them winning anyway. That's why in Vegas, the odds don't change when you turn on the game and somebody is losing to the I just like watching the odds, even though we can't do it in California. Somebody's losing to the Nets, right? Real bad. They're losing by 15, 20, and Vegas is just not moved at all. They still have the Nuggets or whoever winning because they are the better team. So it'll be embarrassing, don't get me wrong, because we went ahead as a basketball world and now anoint. Now we got to re-anoint Jalen Brunson and unanoint Tyrese Haliburton if this happens. But ultimately, this thing isn't over until the Indiana Pacers put it to bed. And this is going to be the toughest game. All these athletes always talk about the closeout game. This is going to be the toughest game of Tyrese Haliburton. It's all fine and good when there's no expectations. You know my saying, exceeding expectations is easier than meeting them. They had no expectations, I don't think. I think all the pressure was on New York. That flipped now. When you went up 3-1 and you said, no, we're just straight up the better team. You lose tomorrow night. I just don't see with Timothy Chalamet. They're going to show him 18 times. Kylie's going to be there. Ben Stiller. They've won there twice. But Game 7 in the Garden, I don't want to see it if I'm Indiana Pacers.
That's going to be their best chance. Saturday's their best chance, I think, is the way to phrase it.
And they know that. That's the scary thing.
Yeah, but again, that comes down to your mental toughness. Like, remember 2 years ago when Derek White had the putback against the Miami Heat in Miami in a closeout, and they were down 3-0, and everyone was like, oh, Miami's cooked. Blew a 3-0 lead, tip in at the buzzer, and then Miami beat them by like 45 points in Game 7. So
ridiculous.
the best chance for the Pacers is this game, because you don't want Game 7 in the Garden.
Let's break down the Kings' new hire of an assistant coach, Chris Darnell, when we return. Allen Stiles, Sacktown Sports.
Allen Stiles here with your Sacktown Sports injury update, brought to you by Downtown LA Law Group. Gio Urshela was replaced on defense due to a hamstring injury. He will be placed on the 15-day injured list with no timetable to return. JT Ginn, out with that strained right quad, felt discomfort in that area, and the team is hopeful he can keep his arm in shape while the injury heals. There also is no timeline for his return. This injury update was brought to you by Downtown LA Law Group. Hey, I'm Allen Stiles. Have an injury? Call Downtown. Downtown LA Law Group, an injury law firm, has many happy clients in Sacramento and the surrounding areas who have called Downtown. Get paid for your injuries from slip and falls or auto accidents. One of their most recent settlements was $1.5 million for a motorcycle accident. Have you had an auto accident? Call Downtown. Text injury help to 40222. That's injury help to 40222 and visit them at calldowntown.com.
Hey, Sacramento. Join Allen Stiles and Sacktown Sports Saturday from 11 till 1 at Napa Auto Parts on Greenback Lane in Folsom, and fill your freezer with 20 ribeyes for only $40.
Live and local
It's Allen Stiles
on Sacktown Sports.
As we proceed to give you what you need, taking up to 2 p.m., the Kings make another hire. This is from Chris Haynes A little over an hour ago, Sacramento Kings head coach Doug Christie is adding Chris Darnell, head coach of G League's Cleveland Charge, to his coaching staff, league sources tell me. So that was from Chris Haynes. As far as what Chris Darnell has done, he was with the Phoenix Suns as a video coordinator and player development coach from 2012 to 2018. From 2018 and 2019, he was with the Utah Jazz, special assistant to Quinn Snyder. 2019 to 2021, the Cleveland Cavaliers, he was a player development coach. 2021 to 2024, he was with the Cleveland Charge as the associate head coach, and just 1 year as the head coach. That's so interesting. And, I think the same thing with MLB managers too, because obviously guys that have a huge name and played in the league, they sometimes get a free pass to the front line. But, it's really interesting to see the path of certain guys, how you bounce and how you kind of balance between when you're with G League and when you decide to make that leap back to the NBA. Could you go back to the G League? How all of that works. We saw it with Bobby Jackson. It feels like the path is you're with the G League so you can say you have some head coaching experience, but you don't need to spend a ton of time there. You just want to say it. And it's more, I would say, depending on where you're sitting, it's more valuable to get to that front row of an NBA coaching staff versus coaching a G League team for over 2-3 years. I'm assuming Chris Darnell is going to be in the front row. I don't know that yet, though.
Yeah, and that seems to be the pipeline, right? Because Bobby Jackson leaves the Kings in Stockton, I should say, leaves Stockton to become fourth guy on the bench. Lindsey Harding leaves Stockton to become, I think, fourth or fifth on the bench with JJ Redick's staff. And then you have obviously Chris Darnell, who has been in Canton/Cleveland for the last 4 years, now getting we don't know if it's front of the bench job, but just based on the names, it's like he's probably fourth or fifth guy on the bench based on whatever you feel about Leandro Barbosa. So that seems to be where the rest of the league values it. I also think all the paths are different too, because Dagnall, who's the coach of the Thunder, he was the coach of their G League team, and then I think he got promoted to associate head coach, but with the team that he was already coaching. So, and Mitch Johnson, now the coach of the Spurs, he was the G League head coach and then was the fourth guy on the bench, and now all of a sudden he's the head coach in San Antonio. So I think different organizations look at the G League coaching ranks differently.
Yeah, I'm just double checking here. It looks like, as far as what he did, and we've been talking about people that played or coaches that played, he played at William and Mary. I don't see anything. It says he graduated in William and Mary and completed his master's in sports management, James Madison, in 2011. So I don't think he has any quote unquote pro playing experience, at least not any that you would include, because they did not include that. So
if he graduated in 2011 and he got his first job in 2012, so there's not much time to go
unless
play.
He was hooping while at James Madison, but doing it online courses. So it doesn't seem like he is one of those guys that, hey, I played, or whatever the case may be. And I think it just goes to an even mix, right, that Doug Christie's going for. A couple guys that played, a couple guys that kind of look at it in a different way. So a good addition. That's what it kind of feels like. And you have two guys that have you have multiple guys that have head coaching experience. Specifically, Mike Woodson is the highlight there, but even a Bobby Jackson and now Chris Darnell, who, even if it's on the G League level, I mean, going into the season, you would say, well, they have Bobby Jackson has more head coaching experience than Doug Christie, technically, even though it's G League. So I think this is a great addition. I'm not going to sit here and tell you I know the X's and O's that Chris Darnell kind of breaks down with the Cleveland Charge, but I do believe that adding in diversity as far as the types of coaches that you are going after and not, having these prerequisites that we joke about. Everybody's got to be connected to Sacramento. And that's what, and I'm looking here, Kyle, I don't see anything connected to Sacramento. Am I missing something?
I don't see any Sacramento ties. I'm trying to think even where there is a tie at all. I don't think there is one necessarily. Yeah. I mean, never coached with Doug Christie, never coached with Mike Woodson.
Right.
Doesn't seem
I love it.
Doesn't seem like there's any overlap along the
Scott
journey.
Perry? Anywhere? I mean, it's not obvious. If there is, it's a deep cut. And it's not as obvious as everybody complaining about the Bobby Jacksons of the world and people that, and I don't know that there were a lot of complaints, but there were also discussions about, hey, are we only going to hire guys that are connected to the Kings in some capacity, specifically the early 2000s? And we joked about the snake draft, how Scott Perry gets a pick, Doug Christie gets a pick. This one seems like they came together and said, all right, let's go random here just to mix it up a little bit. So good stuff. And we're starting to see how this coaching staff is going to get filled out. Very funny that we just talked about it yesterday. And then this comes out, the news dump on Friday. That's how it goes down. Yeah.
Chris Haynes breaking the news for us at, 9 a.m. on a Friday.
That's right.
So I guess thank you, Chris Haynes, for that.
Thank you, Chris Haynes.
This is Chris Haynes.
There we go.
You've been briefed.
When we return, Jake LaRavia speaks with Basketball Insiders about his future with the Kings. I'll tell you what, you don't want to miss it because it'll make you feel real good if you're a fan of Jake the Legend. Allen Stiles, Sacktown Sports.
Hello, I'm Frank Cock with Retirement Security Centers with a weekly economic update. In a significant turn of events, the U.S. Court of International Trade has ruled that President Donald Trump's Liberation Day tariffs are illegal, stating he exceeded his authority under the 1977 International Emergency Economic Powers Act. This decision comes after a tumultuous period in the markets. Following the initial tariff announcements in April, the S&P 500 plummeted over 10% in just 2 days, marking the steepest decline since the 2020 pandemic. However, the S&P 500 has rebounded, turning positive for the year as the administration paused some tariff implementations and engaged in trade talks with China, agreed to deals with the UK, and the EU tariffs have been shelved until July 2nd. Analysts caution that while the court ruling provides temporary relief, the potential for future trade tensions remains. Diversification and staying informed are key as the situation evolves. How might this affect you or your family? Please go to frankontheradio.com to schedule an appointment, watch videos, and receive market updates. I'm ready to help you start your journey so you can define your future.
Securities and investment advisory services offered through Mosaic Wealth, member FINRA SIPC. Mosaic Wealth is separately owned, and other entities and or marketing names, products, or services referenced here are independent of Mosaic Wealth.
At Fisher Investments, we may seem like other money managers, but we're different.
Are you really that different than the rest of us?
We are. As a fiduciary, we always focus on what's best for our clients.
What services do you offer besides investing?
We have a team of specialists in financial planning, estate planning, and more.
Your clients rely on you for all that?
Yes, we ensure clients receive unparalleled service at every step of the relationship.
Okay, but you still sell commission-based products, right?
No, because we believe that's a conflict of interest. We prioritize service over sales goals.
So then how do your fees work?
We have a simple and transparent fee that's a percentage of our clients' portfolios. So we do better when our clients do better.
Wow, we're more different than I thought.
At Fisher Investments, we're clearly different. Learn more at fisherinvestments.com. Investing in securities involves the risk of loss.
Hey, it's Carmichael Dave here for American Energy, and oh my goodness, I'm born and raised here. I know it gets hot, but my goodness, we're already seeing 100-degree days. Listen to me. You do not want your system to conk out in the middle of June or July or August with one of those big 100-degree stretches. You want to make sure you're good all summer long. And my friends at American Energy Heating and Air can do that with a $24.50 tune-up right now. That's half price. And if you need a new system, $3,500 off, up to $3,500 off in rebates for qualified systems. They've been around since 1981, serving the greater Sacramento area. A+ with the Better Business Bureau. Call them right now, 916-520-9990. That's 916-520-9990. Jingle Singers, take it away.
Call 916-520-9990 now.
People are coming from all over to Sacramento Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram, from Folsom, Elk Grove, Woodland, Roseville, because they've seen for themselves the huge selection and the best prices at SacSuperstore.com. Good luck finding a lower price anywhere else. And if you do, they'll match it. It's as simple as that. Sacramento Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram. Gym, where a handshake still means something. Open until 10 o'clock and centrally located right across from Hagen Oaks Golf Course. And online at saxsuperstore.com. The guaranteed lowest price and the best selection of Dodge, Chrysler, Jeeps, and Rams. saxsuperstore.com.
Allen Stiles. Watch the show on youtube.com/Sacktown Sports 1140.
Or listen on the Sacktown Sports app.
Some exciting news that we are going to break down when it comes to who is available, who is not available. Kevin O'Connor is reporting that there are no untouchables on the New Orleans Pelicans. And by the way, there's a Zion story that came out today with some allegations. We're trying to get all the information before we even bring it up on air. But yeah, it's all over social media.
Dave didn't do that.
Yeah, it's all over social media. We will definitely address it. We're just trying to get the ducks in a row here because it just is kind of flood the timeline. But yeah, some Zion allegations came out this morning. With that being said, as far as the Pelicans are concerned, there are no untouchables on the New Orleans Pelicans, according to Kevin O'Connor, because they have no plan, and that's according to me. Okay, so the picture, of course, everyone's saying, what's the going rate for Trey Murphy? You know how much I've talked about DeJounte Murray. I think the issue there is when he'll be ready. If I'm not mistaken, I think we looked this up before. DeJounte Murray tore his Achilles. Was that November? It feels like it was before the new year.
I think it was January.
Really? Okay, yeah, now that you say that, I do believe I recall that conversation. When was it?
It was January 31st.
Yeah, that's a late one.
Which means surgery in early February.
That is not if Jason Tatum had it hours later.
Yeah, we didn't even know the injury until he had the surgery.
That's right.
They were like, oh, they're waiting to announce it. And it was like, oh, Jason Tatum's had surgery.
So obviously Trey Murphy is going to garner a lot of interest. I think what this turns into is, look, this is Sacramento, and there's only a certain number of assets and things like that. Everybody's going to be looking at Trey Murphy. Hey, what can we get for a Herb Jones, who we just talked about? You can check out that segment on YouTube as well. So just wanted to report on that Pelicans news because they got talent, man. They're just a team. They're somehow, some way, don't ask me how, don't ask me why, but somehow the Pelicans are the NBA version of the Angels of Anaheim. Don't ask me how, but they are.
That's a good way to phrase it.
Don't ask me how. It's not that they're not the Kings. They don't have a ton of really bad misses. Things just didn't work.
They're kind of like the Cleveland Browns.
Yeah, the Angels, they got Trout, Ohtani. They tried. Anthony Rendon decides he hates baseball, just likes getting paid.
They went from the worst contract in the history of baseball, Albert Pujols, to the worst contract in the history of baseball, Anthony Rendon.
It wasn't for a lack of trying. It wasn't for a lack of trying. So we'll break down what this means for the trade market if the Pelicans are truly gauging interest on everyone. As far as who's currently on the team and who's looking to return, Jake LaRavia spoke with the Basketball Insiders on his future with the Kings, and I think you're going to like what you hear. This is what he had to say. I really did enjoy being there in Sacramento, even outside of the coaches and the players. The fan base there was amazing. I could see going back there as an option. Me and Doug kind of clicked pretty early just because he liked the way I play. He likes those energy guys. I thought I had a really good relationship with him. I had even told the Kings in the exit interviews that if they gave him the head coaching job, I'd look forward to going back there even more. He said this about his future. If LaRavia, or this is from the story, if LaRavia doesn't end up back in Sacramento, he hopes to land on a young up-and-coming team looking to contend for championships soon. Aside from Sacramento, LaRavia mentioned Orlando, Detroit, San Antonio, Denver as possible teams he would want to play for. Well, Denver, they already got Brown.
But LaRavia would be
better. He's kicking out Peyton Watson.
Yeah, get rid of Strother. Hunter Tyson.
He's not dumb. He knows where he wants to go. I mean, that's interesting. One of these things, not like the other. So 2 Eastern Conference teams, 2 Western Conference teams. obviously Orlando, I think Orlando, I hadn't thought about that, but is he redundant with Tristan da Silva? Possibly, but he also is probably better than Tristan da Silva right now.
That would drive you crazy. LaRavia and da Silva.
It just would tick me off.
Yeah.
But I do think that they need shooters. They do not have shooters on that Orlando team. Detroit's interesting. That's going to be the team a lot. Now that they're up and coming, I think a lot of players are going to want to go to them. I don't know, to be honest, I don't know how much time LaRavia would get on Detroit. It depends who they keep, and they're kind of a not a well-oiled machine, but they got their guys. I don't know that Jake would get the same amount of playing time in Detroit.
If he's taking time away from Ron Holland, they've got a problem.
Yeah, San Antonio, sure, everybody wants to play with Wemby again. I don't know where he would fit in. And to your point, Kyle, he would get, Denver, sure, he can back up Brown or slot in maybe in a position not larger than literally, but maybe if Brown's a 2-3, you sneak Jake in at the 4 sometimes. Jake can really play anywhere besides guard the 5, and he'd even do that. This is why Doug Christie loves him. Based on those names, though, he gets the most playing time on the Kings, right? Out of those 4 names. That he's not the only one. I guess it depends on what happens with San Antonio.
Yeah.
But the only one I would say, I could see him getting as much time on that team would be Orlando, to be honest with you.
Yeah, but even Orlando's got a bit of a logjam, right?
Yeah, well, yes. And it depends on where you're going to slot him. With KC, is he going to be your 2, your 3, KCP, things like that?
But they still have Jonathan Isaac.
They still have Jonathan Isaac, who is still untouchable. The worse he gets, he's still, now it's too late. Now nobody wants him, but
yeah, Orlando makes sense. I just don't think Orlando would want him because they just have so much of a logjam of players right now.
Yeah, and if you do think about it, I'm just thinking off the top of my head and the playoff series that we just saw Detroit have. We know they're invested in Malik Beasley. That's been the report. They might bring back Dennis Schroeder. Honestly, maybe Detroit, he does get more time than, it's basically he's backing up Tobias Harris?
No, the Thompson twin.
Yeah. Well, all the wings, right? You got Asar Thompson, Tobias Harris. That's whoever else is on that squad. Because then you have, like I said, the 2-guard situation. You got Malik Beasley. We'll see what happens with Schroeder.
But then you get Ivy coming back from the broken leg. You still have Ron Holland, who was a top 5 pick, which it was kind of my point, is like if Jake LaRavia is taking time away from Ron Holland, their top 5 pick, then they've got bigger problems.
And the reason I do feel good about this, which is why I prefaced all of this convo as a positive one. Number 1, it sounds like he wants to stay in Sacramento. Number 2, obviously the places that he named are all kind of up and comers, and besides Denver, and that's a championship team, so we understand that. I think Jake knows he'll get the most time in Sacramento. I believe, based on the teams that he just read off, I think, hey, I'd like to be on a playoff team. If I'm not going to play this much, this is what this reads to me. Either I play a good bit on a team that I already know I like in Sacramento, right? Or I play less, but it's on a team where I know I'm going to be in the playoffs, and we don't know that San Antonio is going to be in the playoffs, and Denver was a game away from the play-in, but they're good bets, right? That's what I'm taking from this.
Yeah, and this is why the money aspect of the Jake LaRavia conversation sucks, because just to recap for everybody, he can't be offered more than $5.1 million for the first year of his deal. If you expand it out, it's like 2 years, 10.6, 3 years, 16 point something, 4 years, 23 million is the best they can offer him. They can put in options and stuff, but because of that financial restriction, that's the only reason why. Is not necessarily a playing time thing, but a money situation. Is where, like, if he can say he wants to play for an up and coming team all he wants, but then if Washington offers him $30 million, he's probably going to end up with Washington. And that's why it sucks, because Sacramento obviously values him the most in the league. They're the only team that traded for him at the deadline and gave up essentially 2 second-round picks. Sacramento's just limited in what they can offer him financially, which kind of sucks, because if push comes to shove, I know we talk about $300 million contracts and $100 million contracts, but like this could be Jake's only one chance to make quote unquote generational wealth. So if someone's offering you 2 years and $17 million, you kind of got to take it.
I think there's something really important here that would obviously money is number one. We understand that. But I'd also say that if you look at Jake LaRavia, who's 23 years old, so he has not entered my phase, my 24 to 26. What are you doing? He turns 24 towards the end of the year in November. I think the reality is if you do take a chance, we don't know what's going to happen with the Kings and Domantas Sabonis, things like that. We do feel like they're going to move on from Demar De Rozan. Let's say they move on from Demar De Rozan and they move on from Demar De Rozan for a point guard, right? Fill in whoever you want to fill in with. It's not out of the realm of possibility that when we talk about found money, I'm not saying he's going to be SGA, but when you talk about found money, there's a real conversation about a 23-year-old, what would be the youngest starter, right? There's a younger than Keon. There's a conversation about Jake LaRavia getting an opportunity to start on the Kings, and he ain't getting that anywhere else because I don't know because of the investments, right? I don't believe he'd start on the Wizards because they have investments elsewhere. I don't know what the hell they're doing, but they have investments elsewhere. You look around the rest of the league, all the teams, and we do this all the time. The bad teams have guys that they're trying to play, right? Just like the Wizards said, we're developing young talent, and I'm air quoting for those in the car. Then you have the Jazz, who again, that young talent, once they're not interested in Jake LaRavia, they're going to move on from their guys that are older and then just still stink for however they need to stink.
Yeah, see if this Filipowski can become something.
And Walker Kessler, who's also untouchable, or give us 5 first-round picks. The Blazers as well, they got their crew. Okay, so you start looking around if you're Jake, and you could chase the money, or you could say, I don't know that for a fact, but depending on what the Kings do in the offseason, there's only so much they can do. I have a good opportunity to take a bet on myself, still get paid more than what I'm getting paid now, as I believe it was Keith Smith who broke it down for us. They could do, 3 years or 3 years at, or 2 years,
2 years with an option.
2 years with an option. What was it, 10 mil or something like that?
It's like 10.6.
There you go. You get that option, you ball out. Maybe you even mess around and start a couple games, and now people are looking, or maybe you found a home in Sacramento. I think the age is really important here because the Kings don't have another 23-year-old besides, is Devin Carter 23? He's 24.
I think he's 23.
There you go. Well, you got Devin Carter and Jake, a young player on a team in a position that the Kings do not have right now. So maybe I'm talking myself into it. Maybe I got purple-colored lenses, but I think they're, based on who he named off, it takes 2 to tango.
Well, so remember how we've been doing like PJ Washington and Herb Jones as trade candidates, right? What trading for those guys would be is a temporary starting 3. Mm-hmm. And maybe the Kings come to the conclusion, whether they want to protect the first-round pick next year, whatever it might be, they may come to the conclusion, hey, instead of giving up a protected first for Herb Jones or PJ Washington, maybe we just try Jake LaRavia, not necessarily as a 35-minute-a-game guy, but like play him with Keegan instead of playing him opposite Keegan so that they always have one of the defensive guys on the floor. It's an option. I wouldn't say it's my first option, but it's certainly a possibility.
Again, I am not against stinking if you're stinking for a reason. If you say, hey, man, we want 70%, maybe not, 70's tough, but we want 60% of our minutes played by dudes under 26, right? That means going into 2026 that season, Keon Ellis is going to play a ton. Keegan Murray's going to play a ton, and with a focus on them. Those two are going to play a ton. Devin Carter's going to play a ton, and Jake LaRavia is going to play a ton. We're going to find out what we have with our young talent coming out of this season. And they could win one game, and at least we could say, hey, they told us what was popping. They told us what the plan was, and now we know Keegan's this or Jake LaRavia is that. Matt George put a poll up, And the question was, they will all cost the Sacramento Kings at least 3 first-round picks to acquire. Which one are you taking as the new star in Sacramento? LaMelo Ball, Trae Young, Ja Morant, or Zion Williamson? You'll never guess who the people say they want in Sacramento. Allen Stiles, Sacktown Sports.
Some people just know they could save hundreds on car insurance by checking Allstate first. Like to check the GPS directions first before driving to the mall. Turn right at the light. In 1,000 miles, you will reach Montreal.
Not Montreal, the mall.
Recalculating. 6,000 miles to Nepal.
No, the mall.
Checking first is smart.
Recalculating.
So check Allstate first for a quote that could save you hundreds. You're in good hands with Allstate. Savings vary. Subject to terms, conditions, and availability. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
I'm Ed Evans, CEO of Consumer Cellular. No, we're not one of the big guys. Truth is, we don't want to be. If you're over 50, Big Wireless probably has you paying for more data than you might need. You could be throwing away thousands over a lifetime. We're not here to be the biggest. We're here to bring you something we believe is better. Our plans start at just $20. You'll get the same fast nationwide coverage without the big wireless bill.
Call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com/facts. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing. See site for additional facts.
Drivers who switch and save with Progressive could save hundreds. With that kind of money, you could go big time on a fancy water bottle with ultra titanium alloy metal. You're not sure why you need all that. I mean, it just holds water, but you're getting it anyway. Because if you're hiking near an active volcano and you accidentally drop the bottle into molten lava, your water will still be icy cold. Switch to Progressive and you could save big time. For water bottles. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, not available in all states. Potential savings will vary.
Barbecue season is back. Hey, it's Ellen.
And this is Sarah Beth.
And a little thing we love about the Chick-fil-A Smokehouse Barbecue Bacon Sandwich is that zesty barbecue sauce. I love that it was a little sweet, a little tangy, and with the mac and cheese.
I feel like I tasted the brown sugar bacon first. It was the absolute best combination. Pro tip, 3 sandwiches are always better than 1.
Order the Smokehouse Barbecue Bacon Sandwich and a Coca-Cola on the Chick-fil-A app for a limited time. Real guests paid for their testimonials.
Progressive knows when you're on your boat, you're already on vacation. And Vacation You forgets all your worries. Vacation You doesn't even keep track of time and knows that time is a meaningless construct designed to control us, man. But Regular You knows you don't want to be too far out in the water after the sun goes down because Vacation You doesn't know how to navigate in the dark yet. Vacation You and Regular You really need to get on the same page. So bundle your boat with your home or auto policy and earn an automatic discount from Progressive. And spend the savings on the both of you. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and other insurers. Not available in all states or situations.
Why choose a Sleep Number smart bed?
Can I make my side softer?
Can I make my side firmer?
Can we sleep cooler?
Sleep Number does that. Cools up to 8 times faster and lets you choose your ideal comfort on either side. Your Sleep Number setting. It's the Sleep Number Everything Smart Bed sale. Every smart bed and base are on sale during our Memorial Day event. Up to 50% off, plus free home delivery. Limited time. Exclusively the Sleep Number store near you. Learn more at sleepnumber.com.
Memorial Day savings explode at Maida's Elk Grove Chevy. Save $12,500 off MSRP after rebates. Every new 2025 Silverado Turbo Max in stock. And Maida Chevy has similar savings on every new Silverado. One of the largest selections of new Silverado in the Sacramento area. $12,500 off new Silverado. Exclusively at the Maida Chevy Silverado Supercenter. Now that's big, huge. See them all at MaidaChevy.com. Together, let's drive.
Less than 21 remaining. Not available with special financing, lease, and some other offers.
Get ready for a summer of music, comedy, and thrills with the Sacktown Sports Live events calendar. Kick it off with punk legends The Damned at Ace of Spades May 31st. Then laugh it up with comedian Kathleen Madigan at Hard Rock Live Sacramento June 7th. Country fans, mark your calendars. Whitey Morgan and the 78s roll into town June 19th, followed by jam-packed June 21st. Tainted Love is at Ace of Spades. Lee Bryce and Walker Hayes are at Ironstone Amphitheater, and Penn and Teller are at Thunder Valley. Then it's 3 days of music and wine at the Country Summer Music Festival, June 27th through the 29th at the Sonoma County Fairgrounds. Don't miss the tradition and thrills of the Folsom Pro Rodeo July 3rd through 5th, followed by country superstar Cody Johnson at Golden One Center July 18th. August brings legends. Catch Rick Springfield August 1st and Parker McCollum at the Ironstone Amphitheater June 16th. Grab your tickets now and don't miss a beat. Only with Sacktown Sports.
Allen Stiles
You can join the show by texting 916-339-1140
on Sacktown Sports.
I told Kyle, give me some hyphy, man. It's Friday. Hyphy Friday.
Okay.
Give me some hyphy. Okay? Go ahead.
You like this?
I do.
Okay.
I do. 916-339-1140, call line, text line. Andy's Sack Chat is rocking and rolling as well, taking you up to 2 p.m. And before the break, by the way, we just came across this. Vegas Insider, it'll be later in the show, probably the 12 o'clock hour. Vegas Insider just came out with a hilarious article about the most negative fan bases, as well as the fan bases this is for the NBA, fan bases that swear the most. They even have a breakdown of the most used, is all based on Reddit and social media. They also have a breakdown of the most vulgar fan bases, the most negative fan bases, and the bad words used the most based on the fan base. What's the go-to swear word?
Ooh,
so
if they did that for college football, it would be a nightmare to sift through that.
Oh, no, and I wouldn't even do it. So we're going to have some fun with that in the 12 o'clock hour. Of course, at 11, we have our trade target, our trade candidate, who UPS Chris is 3 for 3 this week on the text line. UPS Chris did guess the trade candidate correctly. Western Conference, part of a huge trade last offseason, had a pretty good playoff run, but it has recently come to an end. That's what we got for you.
I mean, there's a lot of hints there.
A lot of hints there. It's Friday. We want everyone to guess it right. Okay, as far as making the right decision, Matt George, he put up a poll, Matt George of ABC 10 and Locked On Kings, says they will all cost you the same amount, at least 3 first-round picks to acquire. Which one are you taking as the new star in sack? LaMelo Ball, Trae Young, Ja Morant, or Zion Williamson? This, of course, what came out yesterday before Zion Williamson and the sexual assault allegations dropped this morning. And I think people were kind of on it anyway. Not sure what the voting looked like prior to that, but let's just ignore Zion Williamson for now. So out of LaMelo Ball, Trae Young, Ja Morant. Kyle, you saw these?
I voted on this.
Okay, so you voted on this. Let me guess who you voted for, and you guess who I voted for. Okay, so between LaMelo Ball, Trae Young, and Ja Morant, how well do we know each other? I would say you voted for Ja.
Okay, and I would say you voted for LaMelo Ball.
Am I correct?
You are correct. I did vote for Ja Morant.
Mm-hmm. Are you correct? You know I went with Trae Young. Come on. LaMelo, it's the injuries. It's the injuries for me.
But you're not a big Trae Young guy either. I knew you were out on Ja Morant.
And, right. By the way, who cares what we think? Over nearly 4,000 votes on this, by the way. Matt's just done a great job. He's such a good member of the Kings community, Kings media. 3,000 votes, nearly 4,000 votes here. 28% said LaMelo Ball. 26% said Trae Young. And 30% said Ja Morant, just for those who are just now joining. 15% went to Zion Williamson, but we're focusing on the 3 kind of top dogs here. So it was really close. I mean, just that is a pure picture of what Kings fans think, because it's really tough, man. LaMelo, the age, but you have the injuries. Trae Young, at this point, you just kind of wonder, what is the ceiling? Ja Morant, you like what the ceiling could be, but there are other factors. I'm a little bit surprised. I'm going to be honest. I'm a little bit surprised with the Kings fans, that Ja Morant won this, not by a lot, 30%. LaMelo Ball being second at 28%. I'm not really surprised at LaMelo. I think I thought that Trae Young would have a better shout because of the understanding that the Kings probably aren't going to blow it up again. He only lost to Ja Morant by 4%. It was really, really close. But I think a lot of people are still enamored by Ja Morant, his ability to jump out the gym, how electric he is. I think, to be honest with you, some of this might have to do with De'Aaron Fox, and some of this, and I'm not going to sleep on De'Aaron. It's nothing about how De'Aaron competes, but how much time did we spend talking about that dog, right? And I do think a lot of the fan base feels like the Kings have been missing that dog, that swagger. You see what Tyrese, and it's a different type of swagger out there in Indiana with Tyrese and his outfits, but you see what Tyrese is doing. You look at Anthony Edwards, even a Jalen Brunson, even though Jalen Brunson is probably closer to De'Aaron Fox's temperament than Ja or anybody like that. And I know Trae Young can kind of get after it. He likes to mess with Knicks fans, but I think as much as this is about the talent, I also believe that little 4% there or 2% is just the Kings fan saying, I just want a dog. I want a dog, and I haven't had a dog in a very long time on this team.
We want a party in our city.
We want to talk some trash. That's the little change, that 4%, that 2%. That's what I'm seeing there. That's just my opinion on it, but all of them bring something to the table. I'm going with Trae, honestly, out of those three, because I think they're all getting paid a lot of money. Trae, to me, is, to be honest with you, if you're holding on to Domantas Sabonis, it's just a safe bet. And I also think that the spacing would be incredible. I think it makes Zach LaVine better. I think all of them make Zach LaVine better. So I'm just going to go with the safe bet because they're all making a lot of money.
Yeah, and you're essentially making the argument that bring Trae Young in, see if you convince him the style of play will make him want to stay. And if it doesn't, hey, we're going to blow this thing up anyways, and we haven't compromised too much of our long-term future.
Health as well. Trae Young has definitely played the most out of the other two guys. And if you could throw Zion back in there as well, and it wouldn't make a difference. So I'm kind of surprised that Trae Young, not that I thought he would run away with this, but I'm definitely surprised. I am and I'm not that Ja Morant won it. I think people are just kind of fiending for it. People are just enamored by, and we've seen this before, people are just enamored by the ability to defy gravity, the ability to do things that you haven't seen in a while. And if you look at what Ja Morant can do when he's right, I get that. And I get the dog aspect. Me personally, I'm going with a safer option in Trae Young and maybe a slightly lower ceiling. He's definitely a little bit older than Ja, but I think it's the safest bet since we're not blowing it up.
Yeah, I think the ceiling thing is a big deal, right? Is like if you get Ja Morant, you've got 2 to 3 years of making this thing work with the I mean, Ja Morant's been closer to being a superstar than any of these guys are. I think at one point we believed Ja Morant was about to be the Tyrese Haliburton point guard of the future that would lead the Grizzlies to the finals when they were 2 seed in the West and everything else, but or going toe to toe with the Warriors, or him saying, I'm not worried about anybody in the West. I think we thought that was the Ja Morant career arc. So I think you at least bet on the possibility that he will get back to that point more than Trae Young or LaMelo Ball.
Yeah. And with Trae Young, I don't know what kind of happened. He had the Steph. He was one of the Steph variants. So funny. Why all the Steph variants, him, Buddy Hield, they all came from Oklahoma, but it just didn't. It hasn't happened. He's not done yet, but we are pretty sure he's not. We are sure he's not a number one on a championship team. We're trying to figure out, is Trae Young, and I guess if I'm sitting here saying De'Aaron Fox could be a number 3 on a championship team, I think Trae Young is probably best suited for that, and he would be a version of that in Sacramento. Now, it all is more so based on your number 2, and Sabonis is, as Chris Biederman put the singular talent conversation, and Zach LaVine as your number 1, but we'll take what we can get.
Yeah, depends on who your number 1 is, right? Jamal Murray was a number 2 on a championship team, but he played with Jokic.
That's right.
There's levels to this.
When we return, it is time for our trade target, our trade candidate of the day. Western Conference, part of a huge trade this past offseason, had a great playoff run, but did not end on the highest note. Allen Stiles, Sacktown Sports.
Ready for your summer barbecues? We've got you covered. 20 ribeyes for $40 is back in town. Yes, 20 ribeyes for just $40 is back. Happening now this weekend in Folsom at 2 locations. Napa Auto Parts, 9499 Greenback Lane, and American Furniture Galleries, 2785 East Bidwell Street. Enjoy crazy half-price bulk deals on steak, chicken, pork chops, and seafood. Stock up now on prices you haven't seen since 2019. Bulk family party packs to fill your freezer, plus 20 ribeyes for $40 until sold out. 20 ribeyes for $40. Huge truckload meat sale is going fast. Huge bulk deals on New York strips, filet, mega ribeyes, gourmet smash burgers, plus chicken and seafood. 20 ribeye steaks for just $40 and fill your freezer bulk deals while supplies last. All payments accepted. Cash, credit, debit, and EBT. Hurry out. This huge truckload meat sale won't last long. Happening right now this weekend only at Napa Auto Parts on Greenback Lane and American Furniture Galleries on East Bidwell Street in Folsom. On Facebook and Instagram at Essential Foods Direct.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-566-1649. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS. Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start. Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems. We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau. You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call 800-566-1649. That's 800-566-1649. Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
I remember as if it were yesterday. I reached down to move a nightstand and was astonished at the weight of the piece. Hi, this is Frank LaRosa with a word about Naturewood Home Furnishings. At that moment, I instantly recognized the difference between Naturewood's quality furniture that will last a lifetime versus lesser quality furniture found elsewhere. Now, I suppose there's a huge difference in what you'd put in your first apartment and what you would live with in the comfort of your own home. Right now, Naturewood Home Furnishings Made in USA sale is a great time to fill your home with solid, superior quality furniture to reflect your own love for life. With brands like Sam Moore, Stanton, Stickley, Hilltop Hickory, Simply Amish, and many more, Naturewood Home Furnishings has tables, chairs, couches, and, yes, nightstands, and more at their Made in USA sale. Find furniture that will be with you forever. Naturewood Home Furnishings off Highway 50 at Hazel. Look for the water wheel.
Come check out Capital Casino, Sacramento's #1 poker room with the most variety of table games in the region in a safe and friendly environment. Plenty of well-lit parking available, conveniently located in downtown Sacramento. And remember, Capital Casino has the best food, the best service, and the best action. 411 North 16th Street in downtown Sacramento. For more information, log on to capital-casino.com and please gamble responsibly. 1-800-GAMBLER.
Skeeter here. Got a question. What's small and dark with white bands on its legs and bites during the day?
Mosquitoes. Hi, I'm Luz Maria Robles, but these are 2 new types of day-biting mosquitoes. They're invading our area and becoming a big problem.
And they can be dangerous.
But we're on it, so when you see them, report it at fightthebite.net. In the meantime, use insect repellent and drain stagnant water around your yard.
We're here to help with these day-biting mosquitoes.
Visit us at fightthebite.net.
When you're hiring, have you ever felt like you're missing out on meeting truly great candidates for your roles? It seems impossible to find them, but they have to be out there somewhere, right? Well, they're not hard to find when you know where to go, and that place is ZipRecruiter. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter helps 10 million people with their job search every day. And because these people are actively looking for jobs just like yours, it's easy to find the right person right away. In fact, 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. But if you're not using ZipRecruiter, you're missing out. So see what it's like when the impossible is easy. When you go to ZipRecruiter.com/free right now to try ZipRecruiter for free. Once again, that's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free. Never miss out on great candidates with ZipRecruiter.
Catch all of the summer action with the Sacramento River Cats. Secure your summer segments of the Cats Pass. 18 games for just $59 with access to the Sky River Casino Solon Club and the best views of the city. Secure your Cats Pass at rivercats.com.
KHD1 Sacramento, KYMX HD3 Sacramento.
Your home for Kings basketball for over 25 seasons.
From the Power Business Technology Toshiba Studios.
Sacktown Sports 1140. Your home for Kings talk and so much more.
Live and vocal.
Allen Stiles on Sacktown Sports.
11 o'clock on the dot. Hour 2 is upon us as we got 4 hours with you, taking you up to 2 p.m. And it is time for everyone's favorite segment. This has really become a fan favorite because it's a hopeful segment. I feel like with the Kings, and like I said, Vegas Insider put out a really funny article we'll get to in the 12 o'clock hour about the different NBA fan bases. We got NFL 2 on an NFL Friday, and we got NFL Cowboys versus Niners. That's what we are breaking down today. Who would you rather have as a quarterback, and who would you rather pay $60 million to? But Vegas Insider, the fan bases that use the most profanity, the most negative fan bases, we're going to have some fun with that in the 12 o'clock hour. But right now, it is time for our trade target, our trade candidate of the day. And that player, a couple people guessed it right, Julius Randle. Now, I know it's a bit of a confusing one because he has a player option. So technically right now he could opt out and be a free agent. So that is the interesting thing. So not your typical, if anyone didn't say, Allen, that's not technically a trade. Well, it would be a sign and trade. It's Friday, and we really wanted to get something out as far as the Timberwolves are concerned. Now, Julius Randle right now is one of the most interesting players, I'd say, in the NBA. At $33 million, that's what he just got paid. He has a player option going into next season at $30.9 million. Okay, and we just saw him play really, really good against the Warriors, and then play really, really not so good against the Thunder. Albeit the Thunder, I think that's why $30 million is very confusing. Julius Randle could think he deserves more. I feel like the market would say, I think you're pretty solid, Julius, at $30.9 million. So if he opts in, he could, eventually be traded. He could opt out and then re-sign, and maybe it's a lower AAV, but he gets more years on his contract. What is the plan with Julius Randle? And we'll start out with the stats and then essentially get into who is Julius Randle and what is he on an NBA team. Me personally, I don't know why. I know he started in the Big Apple, so it's tough to make that transition. But he did say, his wife said it was nice having more space going to Minnesota. He's got 2 boys, and they recently had a baby girl, right? She said 2 rambunctious boys. So it's better for them to have their big, which is so funny to me because, you can afford anything, right? Even in New York. But let's play the game. The money does go further in Minnesota than in New York. I will not disagree with her there.
Goes further in Sacramento.
And it would go even further. I don't know. It might go further in Minnesota.
De'Aaron Fox's house is quite nice.
There's plenty of parks, though. Plenty of parks. And your money will go further in Sacramento than it did in New York. I can tell you that much.
It's warmer here.
I can tell you that much right now. So 69 games Julius Randle played at 18.7 points per game, which is a smidge under his career at 19 points per game. 7.1 rebounds per game, which is pretty good. He goes 6'9". That might be a little generous as well. 6'7", 6'9". He's 6'9" on Basketball Reference. 9 rebounds. That's his average for his career. Like I said, 7.1 this past season. His assists did go up, though, 4.7 this past season, 3.8 for his career. 48.5% from the field. This season, 47.1% from the field for his career. 34.4% from three, a little bit better, 1% better than his career at 33.4, 80% from the free throw line, 5% better than his career at 75. So that's Julius Randle on paper. Okay, a power forward. You could play him at the small center. He can shoot the three ball. We know he can get after it offensively. You know, back in the day when he was with the Knicks, a lot of people, and even prior to that, right? He's been around the block. The Lakers, the Pelicans for a hot second, the Knicks, and now the Timberwolves. People accuse him of, you know, only being able to use that left hand. Remember when the Knicks a couple of years ago, they just had all lefties, right? Julius Randle was kind of a part of that. He was 7th overall pick in the 2014 draft. I like him. Like I said, I don't know why he's got Sacramento written all over him to me, just as far as this is not what Doug Christie, we're having a conversation based on the Monty McNair versus Mike Brown thing, because this is not what Doug Christie, I think, would want. I also don't think this is what Scott Perry would want. Scott Perry familiar with Julius Randle, though, and I do think it's intriguing. Offensively, I do think it's a good fit. I think that Domantas Sabonis and Julius Randle could for sure play together. I think that if you ran Julius at the 4, Domantas at the 5, Keegan at the 3, Levine at the 2, and then whoever you, as we have been doing, slotting in for that 1 the same way. I think he's a slightly different, but we have our version of point guards that we all put together, the Darius Garlands, the Tyrese Maxeys, and now De'Aaron Fox is closer to that category, I'd say. Then you have the Julius Randle variants of Julius Randle, John Collins, PJ Washington, all guys that are good 4s, but probably not number 2s or maybe not even number 3s. Karl-Anthony Towns is a better version of that, but they're all kind of just in that pile. And I think Julius Randle is the best version of that pile, and that's why you're going to pay him like he's the best version of that pile. But on paper, no defense necessary. I like his fit from the offensive end with the Kings.
So it's interesting because we wanted to have the conversation about what Julius Randle is at this point in his career. And I think this is about as close as we're going to get to confirming that he's not a championship number 2.
Yes.
Like Anthony Edwards is one of the players we know is a superstar. Young superstar, yes, but is one of those guys that we know he's great, and they had no shot against Oklahoma City and probably would have lost to the Knicks, or they were like a tier below everybody else. And Julius Randle played excellent. Now, you've made the point when he's playing against Draymond Green, who doesn't care because Steph isn't playing, and
right.
Draymond doesn't care about basketball if Steph isn't playing. Yes, he put up a triple-double, but against Oklahoma City and their swarming defense,
he's awful.
Yeah, he turned the ball over, 7-point games, 5-point games. And I would make the point, all of these players that are not superstars, that can happen to them just because of usage rates and everything else. Darius Garland had like 5 points in a playoff game too. And Darius Garland, we know, is a championship number 3. So it can happen to anyone, but I also think on this Kings team, he would be like a 2.5, like him and Zach LaVine.
Yeah.
It's unique when you play with Domantas Sabonis, whether you're a 2 or a 3, just because Domantas Sabonis is such a unique skill set.
Yeah, it turns into, like I said, it's basically, and this is what the Kings have been, and this is what it seems like they want to be when you don't want to blow things up. Unless they end up taking a huge swing, this is what the Kings are. It's what they've been even with De'Aaron Fox. A collection of a team that is always going to have 3 dudes that are top 40 players, but nobody in the top 20. That's essentially what it is. That's who they've been.
Well, De'Aaron Fox got close, but
he got close, and Domantas Sabonis, you can make an argument.
Oh, Domantas Sabonis is there, I would say. He's in the top 25. You know, we can have debates about 15, 20, whatever.
The point is, it's just 3 really good players, and we already know that having 3 really good players ain't good enough. If one of them is not a dude or even close to it, it is not good enough.
Yeah, but that's the thing that you're banking on is the projectability, right? We all thought, even the Timberwolves thought they were getting worse because they got Julius Randle instead of Karl Anthony Towns. And they lost in 5 games in the Western Conference Finals with Karl, and they lost in 5 games in the Western Conference Finals without Karl.
Quick sidebar, though. Funny enough, because I was just thinking about this because I saw Dante DiVincenzo talking about it. He said that, hey, when I was on the Knicks, I knew I was getting my shots from a DHO with Hartenstein or when they crash on Brunson and I'm just wide open. The reason I bring that up is because I don't think the argument is Julius Randle coming off of that crazy season Dante DiVincenzo had in New York, which I never believed it. I think that he had a bad season in Minnesota. I also don't think that what he did in New York was realistic either. But you were essentially thinking the thought process in Minnesota was it ain't Julius Randle to Karl Anthony Towns. It's Julius Randle and Dante to Karl Anthony Towns, which if Dante has a season that even resembles what he did in New York, they might still, I don't know, because it's the Thunder, but they might literally still be playing as far as a Game 7. I don't know that they win, but I don't know how much it says about Dante or Julius Randle as much as it says that Karl Anthony Towns is better than Julius Randle. They got absolutely nothing from Dante all season.
But I think the bigger thing was Karl Anthony Towns never made sense alongside Rudy. They were trying to make it work, but with Rudy as the defensive center, it worked. Julius Randle did not have the numbers the same, but he had his most efficient season of his career since he was on like the Pelicans. Mm-hmm. This was the most efficient season of Julius Randle's career. And he was the tried and true number 2 because Rudy gets all his offense just from lobs. Mm-hmm. So I think it made more sense. The only difference I would say with Sacramento is they don't have a shot blocking defensive center who catches lobs. They have a point center, which means it would be a very different looking offense.
We have trade packages when we return for Julius Randle. It would be a sign and trade in this situation. We also have an update on the Timberwolves, which ties right into what we're talking about from Sam Amico. We will share that update with you in just about a minute here. Allen Stiles, Sacktown Sports.
Now is the perfect time to start on your next success. An accredited state university, University of Maryland Global Campus offers online and hybrid courses. Plus, you can earn up to 90 credits toward a bachelor's for prior learning and work experience, or transfer up to 12 credits toward a master's. No application fee if you apply by May 30th. Learn more at umgc.edu. Certified to operate in Virginia by Chef.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Are you a victim of the timeshare trap and think there's no way out? I'm Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group, the original timeshare cancellation expert. And I'm here to tell you that there is a way out. All you need to do is give my office a call. I will send you a timeshare exit information kit absolutely free, explaining how the timeshare industry works and your options for cancellation.
Call Wesley now for your free info kit. 800-848-1331. That's 800-848-1331.
Allen Stiles. Watch the show on youtube.com/Sacktown Sports 1140.
Or listen on the Sacktown Sports app.
Julius Randle. Is that someone you would take on your Sacramento Kings? Well, there some Timberwolves news that just came out from Sam Amico. Now, we know that the Timberwolves tried to get Kevin Durant during this last trade deadline. We also know that there was a Luka Anthony Edwards conversation had as well. Timberwolves are never shy to make moves and to keep evolving. That is one thing I will say about Minnesota, even amidst their ownership questions and things like that. They have never been afraid to just kind of keep it pushing in the way that they are keeping pushing. And Sam Amico had this to say, senior NBA writer for hoopswire.com. the Minnesota Timberwolves are reportedly looking to trade for a quote-unquote alpha and are expected to pursue Kevin Durant. Here's the quote. The Timberwolves need another alpha next to Edwards to win it all, which is why sources told HoopsWire that Minnesota is expected to pursue a Durant trade again this offseason. So in that trade, I think right there is your answer. If they're able to pull it off, that's some type of sign and because the money has to work. Yeah. And if you're the Suns, that has Matt Ishbia written all over it. All right, we'll do the deal because it's Kings-esque, right? We're going to lose our asset. He wants out. I'm leaving here with something because we ain't blowing it up because we're not moving Devin Booker. So, hey, we got you a big three. Bradley Beal, Devin Booker, and Julius Randle. Suns in 4. Suns in 4. That's what we're doing.
Suns 4 and 10.
Yes, Suns 4 and 10. So, as we discussed Julius Randle coming to Sacramento, it seems like the Timberwolves aren't being shy about their pursuit. Not to get too sidetracked here because we do have some trades for Julius Randle, but real quick, this makes sense to me.
Yes.
If you're the Timberwolves, right? This is, and I would say if you're Kevin Durant, these are the types of situations when we're trying to figure out, well, who would do this or that? I think if you are the Timberwolves, you have some young talent, right? A Rob Dillingham, I would say a Jaden McDaniels, even though you don't want to, but give me Rob Dillingham, Jaden McDaniels, and Julius Randle, maybe a pick, and the Suns get to continue doing whatever they're doing, and the Timberwolves say, this is our move to get over the hump. And that's a team that if you put Kevin Durant healthy on this Timberwolves team, I might still have the Thunder, but it's a very close series.
Well, and the other part is, one, the relationship with Anthony Edwards and Kevin Durant.
Yes.
That's the guy. That's his favorite player.
Yes, keep him happy.
His idol. But I don't think it's necessarily keep him happy. I think it's you're going to get a better version of both of them if they both really like each other, which they both do. And then secondarily, whether it's Randall or Naz Reid, you can use those players going out with the Phoenix so that you essentially add value instead of losing them for nothing. It's like instead of Naz Reid going to San Antonio and you get back Harrison Barnes,
right?
You can leverage Naz Reid to Phoenix and then get back Kevin Durant in return. If Phoenix obviously wants Naz Reid or Julius Randle, Phoenix kind of has to ask themselves what they want.
Yeah, and again, I don't know what the Suns are doing, but the piece before the piece, it reminds me of when Kevin Durant left the Warriors and, hey, let's get you D'Angelo Russell, even though it's not a fit, it's a piece before the piece. I remember having these conversations about when Monty McNair, he just offloaded, who was it, Davion Mitchell, and it was the move before the move. And I guess it was, but we were all sitting there. I know Chris was ticked off at some random salary dump, bizarre move that Monty McNair made. That just reminded me of it.
Yeah, Olivier Maxence Prosper could have been a king. All of it is, I think it's all aligning for Minnesota to get Kevin Durant. That is the team. That is the team that makes the most sense. It's the move that Minnesota needs to make or risk, falling behind the 8 ball. Just take the risk. We can talk more about what it actually would entail later, whether you could even keep Jaden McDaniels and still make it work, but that's the move that they should be making.
All right, let's get to the move that the Kings should be making, the 2 trades to acquire Julius Randle.
Well, one of them actually leads right into what you talked about, but we'll save that. The first one is just a straight-up sign-and-trade, Wolves for the Kings. We're going to say Julius Randle gets $36 million a year.
Okay.
3-year contracts. You can throw a player option in there or something, but we're going to say that's low-end number 2 money in the NBA, is about $35-36 million a year. So that's what we're going to put Julius Randle's salary at. The deal would be Julius Randle going to the Kings for DeMar DeRozan.
Cool.
Which, again, Minnesota can figure out what to do with that later. DeMar DeRozan, Keegan Murray,
Arkansas, Vancouver.
And Minnesota gets back that 2031 first rounder that the Kings are holding on to right now. So Julius Randle for DeRozan, Keegan, and the 2031 first round pick. 3-year deal for old Julius Randle.
Keegan and a first rounder. I know it's a low first rounder, but Keegan and a first rounder.
I mean, Julius Randle's a all-star, not last season, but the season before.
That's a lot, brother.
I know. Julius Randle's going to be worth more than you think Julius Randle's worth.
Well, and DeMar De Rozan is going to be worth a lot more than you think DeMar De Rozan worth.
Yeah, I mean, sure. You want to take back a second-round pick? Say we get pick 31 from the Timberwolves. Does that make you feel better?
I can't do both.
So this would leave us with, at this point, whoever their point guard is going to be, Keon Ellis, Zach LaVine, Julius Randle, Domantas Sabonis, and then coming off the bench, Malik Monk, Jonas Valanciunas, Jake LaRavia, and then, whoever else they fill out their bench with.
I'm out. Out.
It's the Keegan one?
It's both. You can't. It's not Keegan in a first.
Keegan and the Timberwolves first too.
Yeah,
which is the good one.
Yeah, I can't do that. I can't. Not in this economy.
I
can't do that.
What if I put a protection on the pick? Still no?
I'm done with these protections. I'm done with protection.
All right, maybe you'll like the next one a little better because in this scenario, it's the same trade for from the Kings side. It's the same trade, but you're giving up your first round pick next year. So it's not the good pick. It's just the slightly lesser first round pick. Okay. But you still have to give up DeRozan and Keegan. I'll explain the rest of the trade in a second, but does that make you at least feel a little better? It's the Kings first next year, which doesn't have the chance of being the lottery pick.
The problem is I can't lose Keegan in a deal that I don't know if we're going to the playoffs or not.
Okay.
That's kind of where I'm at. So right? If Keegan is part of a Trae Young deal and he's a facilitator and I feel, okay, Sabonis, and I still don't know if that team makes the playoffs, but I would at least say he's a maestro. He could still be a dude. We don't know. We know what Julius Randle is. Julius Randle, Zach LaVine, Domantas Sabonis.
And Malik Monk.
And Dennis Schroeder.
Sure.
Ain't going to nobody's
pick a point.
Ain't not in the West. Maybe the East, but not in the West. I can't. I would do that deal in the East.
Okay.
But I cannot do that deal in the West. How about that?
Got to believe in the process, my guy. Okay, so trade number 2 is we're going to get in on this Kevin Durant to the Minnesota Timberwolves trade. Because Minnesota, they're going to get just an amalgamation of pieces, and they're going to try and make this thing fit a little bit better.
What have you created here?
I've created a monster. A 4-team trade for Kevin Durant that would end up with Minnesota getting KD, the Kings getting Julius Randle. Again, same contract. Randle and Naz Reid have to add up to Kevin Durant's salary in this situation. We're just going to assume that works. Same contract. Julius Randle goes to the Kings. Kevin Durant to the Timberwolves. DeMar De Rozan is going to go to the Rockets in this situation.
Okay.
And the Suns are going to end up with, for Kevin Durant, Keegan Murray, Naz Reid, Dylan Brooks, Cam Whitmore, the 17th pick in this year's draft, and Sacramento's 2026 first rounder, which there's also, if you think Phoenix isn't getting enough, there's a situation where Houston has their 10 pick. And so Houston sends them the 10 pick and they swap 10 and 17. So Phoenix moves up 8 spots in the draft.
This draft.
Yes, this year. So Phoenix would get the 10 pick, Houston would get the 17 pick.
Yeah, I think if you're the Suns, you do that.
Because you would end up with...
It's an expiring deal on Kevin Durant. Let's not forget that.
Yeah, and they would end up with, at the end of it, a starting 5 of Devin Booker, Bradley Beal, Dylan Brooks, Keegan Murray, Naz Reid.
Sure. Why not?
That's a 10 seed in the West.
Yeah. You're fighting. You're probably better than the Kings. I'm not doing that deal either. I don't know what's with you in this first rounder in Keegan. This guy's overvaluing Julius Randle here.
A first-round pick and Keegan Murray.
And DeMar.
Well, and DeMar, yeah.
DeMar, who's going to be everyone's plan B once Kevin Durant, that shoe drops.
Yeah, but if I make DeMar De Rozan Tobias Harris, you're not really complaining about trading DeMar De Rozan.
I don't even know what that means.
I'm saying that DeMar DeRozan is a name, but it only works if you're getting a bigger player like that.
Don't do that.
Just saying.
Don't do that.
My point is, I think you're undervaluing what Julius Randle is going to go for.
And I think you're undervaluing, funny enough, you're the one undervaluing DeMar DeRozan now. That's where I'm at. All right, where we're at is way over time. When we return, more from DeMar DeRozan. He talks about having that point guard, and could that be what keeps him in Sacramento? Allen Stiles, Sacktown Sports.
When you're hiring, have you ever felt like you're missing out on meeting truly great candidates for your roles? It seems impossible to find them, but they have to be out there somewhere, right? Well, they're not hard to find when you know where to go, and that place is ZipRecruiter. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter helps 10 million people with their job search every day. And because these people are actively looking for jobs just like yours, it's easy to find the right person right away. In fact, 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. But if you're not using ZipRecruiter, you're missing out. So see what it's like when the impossible is easy. When you go to ZipRecruiter.com/free right now to try ZipRecruiter for free. Once again, that's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free. Never miss out on great candidates with ZipRecruiter.
Ready to order?
Yes. We're earning unlimited 3% cash back on dining and entertainment with the Capital One Saver Card. So let's just get one of everything.
Everything?
Fire everything. The Capital One Saver Card is at table 27, and they're earning unlimited 3% cash back.
Yes, chef! This is so nice.
Had a feeling you'd want 3% cash back on dessert.
Ooh, tiramisu.
Earn unlimited 3% cash back on dining and entertainment with the Capital One Saver Card. Capital One, what's in your wallet?
Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com for details.
Barbecue season is back. Hey, it's Ellen. And this is Sarah Beth. And a little thing we love about the Chick-fil-A Smokehouse Barbecue Bacon Sandwich is that zesty barbecue sauce. I love that it was a little sweet, a little tangy, and with the mac and cheese.
I feel like I tasted the brown sugar bacon first. It was the absolute best combination. Pro tip, 3 sandwiches are always better than 1.
Order the Smokehouse Barbecue Bacon Sandwich and a Coca-Cola on the Chick-fil-A app for a limited time. Real guests paid for their testimonials.
When you're young, life is full of choices. Don't let opioids like highly addictive and deadly fentanyl take away your life with just one wrong pill. Addiction is a disease that can affect anyone at any age. But there is a choice to get help for this disease. Find medically proven treatment options, including virtual, at ChooseMat.org.
The Memorial Day Race to Savings is on. Get the best deals of the season at Folsom Lake Honda, your one-stop Honda shop.
Looking to own or lease? During the Memorial Day Race to Savings, drive a brand new Accord or Civic. Visit us today at FolsomLakeHonda.com, your one-stop Honda shop.
As a family-owned and operated dealership since 2009, customer service is our #1 priority. Our customers love doing business with us, and you will too.
Folsom Lake Honda, yeah, your one-stop Honda shop.
Ready for your summer barbecues? We've got you covered. 20 ribeyes for $40 is back in town. Yes, 20 ribeyes for just $40 is back. Happening now this weekend in Folsom at 2 locations. Napa Auto Parts, 9499 Greenback Lane, and American Furniture Galleries, 2785 East Bidwell Street. Enjoy crazy half-price bulk deals on steak, chicken, pork chops, and seafood. Stock up now on prices you haven't seen since 2019. Bulk family party packs to fill your freezer, plus 20 ribeyes for $40 until sold out. 20 ribeyes for $40 huge truckload meat sale is going fast. Huge bulk deals on New York strips, filet, mega ribeyes, gourmet smash burgers, plus chicken and seafood. 20 ribeye steaks for just $40 and fill your freezer bulk deals while supplies last. All payments accepted. Cash, credit, debit, and EBT. Hurry out. This huge truckload meat sale won't last long. Happening right now this weekend only at Napa Auto Parts on Greenback Lane and American Furniture Galleries on East Bidwell Street in Folsom. On Facebook and Instagram at Essential Foods Direct.
Allen Stiles
You can join the show by texting 916-339-1140
on Sacktown Sports.
Taking you up to 2 p.m. We were talking about Julius Randle and how that fit would work in Sacramento. Obviously, the scoring would improve. The defense might get worse, which is not something that Doug Christie or Scott Perry obviously want to happen. But you need to get talent in the building. And if you're going to refuse to blow it up, there's only a couple different ways to acquire talent and to get better and to give yourself an opportunity. Because right now, the Kings have no chance. They have no chance. I don't even think right now as presently constructed, I know there are a couple people that say, oh, well, we got to see Zach LaVine more. No, we don't. I don't think we do. Right? You add, go add Dennis Schroeder, as we're about to have this point guard conversation and hear from DeMar DeRozan, and let's see what happens. Add Lonzo Ball. Let's just get the whole roster.
Kobe White.
Yeah, from Chicago. Let's hear from DeMar DeRozan from the Run Your Race pod. And this is what he had to say about getting a point guard and having a point guard on his team here today.
Lonzo when you talk about a piece that's missing for something and everything else right around it, Lonzo was that big piece of the puzzle that put everything together for all of us. And he made everything so easy offensively, defensively. Like coming from a point guard like Cal to playing with a point guard like Zoe wouldn't say a word. But he would do everything to the highest level. When before, I'm used to my point guard being the most vocal, saying this, talkative. Zoe wouldn't say nothing, but he could dominate from every aspect of a game at the highest level.
That was DeMar DeRozan on the Run Your Race pod talking about how much he likes playing with a point guard. And, even still, I could make the argument that based on how he's talking about Kyle Lowry and even Lonzo Ball, I can make the argument, obviously what we see 30 games of it, I can make the argument that I don't even know that De'Aaron Fox was the right point guard for DeMar. You can make that argument. We'll never know. It's better than what they have right now. And listening to that, the idea of thinking that you're going to duct tape and super glue this thing together with Malik Monk probably just made DeMar DeRozan roll his eyes when they made that decision. But I'm saying it in terms of who they should go get next. It even feels like DeMar DeRozan or De'Aaron Fox wasn't a perfect fit, and we all knew that for somebody like DeMar. Feels like DeMar does like the more classic floor general, and I hate to do this, but again, we do everything under the caveat that the Kings refuse to blow it up. And damn it, Kyle, it does sound like Chris Paul should just come on up to Sacramento.
Yeah, look, I've made the point that even if your point guard is starting, your point guard doesn't have to close. What you need is someone who's capable of playing 25 minutes at the point guard position. Because when it comes to clutch time or nut crunching time, it's a lot more ISO ball. It's a lot more flow-based offense. This was the problem with Malik Monk being the point guard, and it just didn't work that great. But then they started pivoting to Zach LaVine being the ball handler and DeRozan being the ball handler. That game against Detroit, where LaVine had 43 points or whatever it was, if you go back and watch, it was a lot of LaVine facilitating, and not that he was, passing first, which I think is what Malik got into trouble with at times, was being too pass first. But it's saying, put the ball in their hands and they will make the decision about whether to shoot, whether to pass, whether to run a screen and roll. Like, if you just give them that playmaking ability, I think your best players can be in a position to succeed. What I think you're looking for with a Chris Paul or Alonzo Ball is what you get from Sabonis as the point center, which is spacing, makes the offense make more sense. But Sabonis can't do that all the time because Sabonis also needs to get into his own actions. So that's kind of the tough thing you're trying to balance, is you run an offense with a point center, but you can't have no other primary ball handler on the team.
No. So I don't love the Chris Paul idea, but somebody on the text line said it best yesterday. If they're not going to do anything crazy, I mean, there's worse decisions to make. I don't know that Chris Paul would want to come to Sacramento. Who else is in the market for a Chris Paul? And I think, he's one of the final ring chasers. It sounds like a movie. The last ring chaser. That feels like what Chris Paul is right now.
I mean, you say that, but he went to San Antonio last year.
And that made no sense to me. And you know why he went to San Antonio? In order to just keep playing in hopes that this year he'd get on a championship team.
It was the only team that was going to offer him a starting role.
So now we'll see. Now he's going to try his luck again. And I feel like he would end in Sacramento. And I'm not saying Sacramento would be his first choice, but I'm saying he could easily find himself in Sacramento. That still leads itself to bring it back from hour one. That still leads itself to, okay, cool. Chris Paul, you add Chris Paul and some other free agent point guard, right? You add those two guys and PJ Washington in the starting lineup. And I guess it wouldn't even be PJ because you're bringing in Chris Paul in this world, right, in this scenario to help DeMar De Rozan, not necessarily to move on from DeMar De Rozan. So it's Chris Paul, Zach LaVine, DeMar De Rozan, Keegan Murray, and Domantas Sabonis. Fine. And I'm not saying that DeMar is saying he wants to stay. I don't think he does. But even in that scenario, I am not moved.
Well, and in clutch time, you're not having Chris Paul on the floor. You're putting either Malik Monk in the game or you're putting Keon Ellis in the game in this situation, which even if I make DeMar DeRozan RJ Barrett, like take the DeMar DeRozan aspect out of it, even though I know he's the one that had the quote talking about playing with a point guard. If you just have two shooting guards who are either A, spot up shooters on the wing like LaVine and Monk, or B, guys who can create their own shot, you have more flexibility to work with, right? You can put both of them in at the same time. You can put one with Chris Paul. You can put one with Keon and put them at the 3. You just have more options. And I think that's kind of where they got stuck last year is the team never made sense because they had no other option other than to play Malik at the point guard.
Yeah. So we know how that story ended. There are options for the Kings. I don't know if I were to try to read the minds, I think that ownership wants DeMar DeRozan to stay. I do not know that management wants him to stay, and I don't know that DeMar DeRozan wants to stay. But I do think there will at least be a conversation when these things come through as far as, hey, if we get you a point guard, how does that move you? And DeMar will either say, well, it depends on who it is. You get us LaMelo or Trae Young, and we can have a conversation. Obviously, that money, it would be impossible to do that.
Yeah, he's the one going out
exactly.
In that situation.
So I think that's why all roads probably lead to him being out of it, unless he says, yeah, I think I trust how good Zach LaVine and myself could be along with Domantas Sabonis, even if you had a Dennis Schroeder. The question becomes, how much better is Lonzo Ball than Dennis Schroeder?
Well, and
at his height, I think better, but I don't know by a ton.
But even switching the basketball fit doesn't change the fact that DeMar DeRozan and Zach LaVine are a clunky pairing.
But Zach LaVine or DeMar DeRozan's argument when they were playing well that first year in Chicago was that it was working because I don't think that DeMar thinks it's a clunky fit with a point guard.
Yeah, but that's the tough part of it.
That's DeMar's thought process. That's not yours, or that's not mine.
That's the tough part of all of this is like, are you just really trying to make this thing work when that was 3 years ago, and B, you're also playing with Domantas Sabonis, who is not Nikola Vucevic.
Right. There's similarities, but no, not the same type of player. Speaking of Lonzo, he's speaking for LaMelo. Lonzo drops a bomb on his podcast as far as where he thinks LaMelo will end up. Allen Stiles, Sacktown Sports.
Golf to Go is brought to you by the Hagen Oaks Golf Super Shop. Here's Frank LaRosa.
With so many ways to warm up before golf, a group of university researchers tried to cut through the clutter. 24 low handicap players were split into groups. The first group was instructed to hit 9 shots in a row with 4 different clubs that set targets. The second group also hit 36 shots, but in a random order. Maybe 1 shot with a driver, 1 with a 7-iron, another with a wedge, and so on. Then all the golfers from both groups hit 9 test shots that simulated the kind of shots they'd hit on the course. Results found that the group who practiced with randomized shots performed better than the first group. Well, that's one study, but it's probably important to note that rather than hit a bunch of shots with 3 clubs, you might be better off hitting different clubs to different distances. You'll have practice shots to different targets with different clubs, presumably just like you'll do on the golf course. Give it a try. What do you have to lose except a few shots on your scorecard? That's your Golf to Go. I'm Frank LaRosa.
Progressive knows if you have to choose between everyday life and your RV wins.
What, are you going to take the RV to the mountains or go pick up your dry cleaning? RV wins! Are we cleaning the gutters or taking the RV camping? RV wins! Are we getting a new passport or cruising up the coast? RV wins!
Don't forget, you got that trip to Sweden coming up.
Oh, yeah, passport, then RV.
With Progressive, you can bundle your RV with your home or auto and save with a discount and spend more time enjoying those savings in your RV. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and other insurers. Not available in all states and situations.
Oh, I got to get business cards printed for my entire staff, but where do I even?
That was easy.
Oh, okay, Staples. But can I have bigger stuff printed too, like huge signs and banners?
That was easy.
Nice. And what if I had to ship a package?
That was easy.
Have my passport photo taken?
That was easy.
Coffee and snacks?
That was easy.
What about the latest laptops?
That was
Earbuds
easy.
and headphones?
That was
Office
easy.
chairs?
That was easy.
I think I also need to get some Staples.
Seriously?
I had to ask.
For everything your business needs to get the job done.
Staples. That was easy.
An Australian hiker travels to the American West to walk a wilderness trail.
Wasn't afraid to be out on his own.
But Eric Robinson vanished in the high Uinta Mountains.
I remember thinking, Eric, what were you thinking, mate?
I'm Dave Cawley. Join me on my podcast, Uinta Triangle, where I travel the world to answer the question, what happened to Eric Robinson? Follow Uinta Triangle. That's UINTA Triangle on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen.
Looking for fun for the whole family? Sacramento Rivercats Baseball has it all at Sutter Health Park. Enjoy exciting baseball, kids' activities, tasty ballpark treats, and more. Family memories start here. Get your Rivercats baseball tickets at rivercats.com.
Live and local.
It's Allen Stiles
on Sacktown Sports.
Taking you up to 2 p.m. And Lonzo is trying to take his brother to a different team, LaMelo. And this was Lonzo on his podcast, What an Experience podcast. He says, I've got Dylan Harper going to the Hornets at number 4 and Melo going to the Clippers. That's what he has. So, you have the clutch points, social media kind of chiming in. They say the mechanics of this trade would be hard to construct for 2 reasons. One, for a player of Melo's caliber, it would take at least a young player with high potential, not a bunch of veteran backups. In the Clippers, they fall into the latter, having just one player on their roster under 25 years old. That's kind of crazy. That is actually crazy. 2, there's almost no way Dylan Harper falls to the 4th pick unless something drastic happens. The idea of LaMelo in LA is intriguing, but it's likely not in the cards, at least for this offseason anyway. Yeah, I don't know. And you saw the Clippers with some interest in Drew Holiday. I don't know where Lonzo got this thought process. People just be talking these days. But Drew Holiday, the Clippers are basically just a better version. You got the AARP teams, right? And you have the teams that are just refusing to never say die because you have older stars. So you have the Warriors, the Lakers, and it's really LeBron, but outside of LeBron, they don't have they just have Luka and LeBron. That's what the Lakers have, but we're still putting the Lakers there. So you got the Warriors, the Lakers, the Clippers, and the Suns as those 4 teams for me that are just saying, hey, we're old and we're just last hoorahing it. You have last hoorahing it. You have we're on the way up, And then you have the Sacramento Kings and teams that have a bunch of dudes that are in their prime, but their prime is not that primey. And that's literally what the Sacramento Kings are. Because if you look at a lot of these teams, if you go through them, I guess the Nuggets, you could say, now enter. They're kind of in the same window as the Kings. They're just 1,000 times better, but the same type of age window, a lot of 27, 28-year-olds, because they're in their prime, and that's why they're in the playoffs and actually relevant. So you have a couple teams in that category, but most of the time, if you're in that category, teams aren't normally in that category unless you're in the process of competing for championships. Teams normally avoid that. You're either older than you should be because you have an aging star, or you're younger than you should be because you're doing some version of rebuilding. You don't see a lot of teams in the age range that the Kings are in.
You see a handful of them, but you don't usually see a team in that age range whose star player is Domantas Sabonis, right? It makes more sense if you have Domantas Sabonis and De'Aaron Fox, or Domantas Sabonis and Ja Morant, where it's like, we don't have a generational superstar, but we have two stars. And because of that, we're able to make the playoffs every year. It's a little weird right now where it's Domantas Sabonis and guys, because without a tried and true number two, it's going to be hard to get to, I'm not saying the playoffs, hard to get to a top 5 seed in the West or compete with the teams that have generational superstars, which, if I'm doing quick math in my head, I think there's 6 of those in the Western Conference between Steph, Anthony Edwards, Luka now on the Lakers, the Oklahoma City Thunder with Shea, Jokic on the Nuggets, and then I guess you could say Kawhi and the Clippers still, but that's kind of its own case.
You know, this whole thing about Domantas Sabonis, who's still under contract for 3 years, he's getting 43, 46, and 49 when he's 31 years old. The idea that the Kings have to compete this upcoming season for Domantas Sabonis to be happy, I don't even know that that's true. Domantas Sabonis could be just like us in that I just want to know what our direction is. Domantas Sabonis has played with Keegan for all of Keegan's career. What if the Kings say, look, man, we have you for 3 more years, right? If you want to go see what's out there, and I don't know if and again, with Ivica Zubac doing what he did, I don't know how many people are lining up to pay Domantas Sabonis $43.6 million, and then 46, and then 49, essentially 50 because it's 49.9. I'm not saying he doesn't have a market. I'm saying, again, his market is as confusing as his career has been, which has been a really good career. But when you try to compare him, he's got some crazy numbers that only compared to the greats in the game. But as a singular talent, we kind of know what it is. So you can have that conversation and say, you find somebody and it's worth our while, cool. The door is open there. But on the other end, we have you, we have Zach. We'll get something back for DeMar. It might not be the craziest deal ever, but we're going to find out what we have with Keegan Murray. We really like Keegan Murray. We're going to go get you a point guard. We're going to go get you another wing to do some things offensively and defensively. And we're going to find out what we have with our 4th overall pick in Keegan and get younger and athletic in the process. I don't know that Domantas Sabonis says no to that. We don't know, and that's what I always say about the Devin Bookers of the world and guys like that. We don't know that Domantas Sabonis is feeling like De'Aaron Fox. I don't know if De'Aaron Fox is feeling like De'Aaron Fox if Wemby's not in San Antonio. We all know De'Aaron Fox wanted to go to Texas, right? If Wemby wasn't out there and the Spurs still stunk and the Rockets also stunk, what would De'Aaron Fox have done? Does he look at everything the same way? He had other reasons why he wanted to get out there. The biggest one was playing with Wemby. The second biggest, and you can maybe flip them, his family or his significant other's family from that area in Texas. So it all aligned for De'Aaron Fox. We don't know what aligns for Domantas Sabonis.
Well, that's what's tough about next summer is that in the modern NBA, when a star has 2 years left on your contract, you got to start the dialogue on what are we doing next, right? Because either there's 2 years left on the deal and he has a market to be traded. Think Giannis right now. Giannis has 2 controllable years left on his deal, and that's why we got to start having the conversation. Damian Lillard had 4 years left. You could go down the line to other people. But with 2 years left on your deal, we got to have the conversation of like, hey, are you coming back? Do you want a contract extension? If so, here's a 3-year deal on the table right now. Maybe they say, I want to come back. I'm just going to wait until next summer to sign a 4-year extension. These are conversations that are going to happen next summer. And maybe Domantas Sabonis comes back and says, hey, I don't feel comfortable signing a long-term. Same thing as De'Aaron Fox, right? De'Aaron Fox got to 2 years left on his deal and said, I don't feel comfortable signing a long-term extension. He told Whitey and Drapes that at Media Day. He said it on the Draymond Green podcast, and the Kings turned around and traded him with 1.5 years left on his deal. So next summer, I think those conversations are going to happen one way or another. And if Domantas Sabonis does want to stick around, maybe it leads to a contract extension.
That's really what we're waiting to see, right? And when you have a situation like Domantas Sabonis where, Sam Amick came out, and this was a couple weeks ago, and essentially, and I'm paraphrasing here, essentially talked about what we're discussing as far as, obviously, you're not going to struggle moving on from Domantas Sabonis, but is the juice worth the squeeze on either end, right? It's about, are you going to get back the haul that you think you should get? And on the other side, well, we're also feeling like maybe he's a smidge overpaid, so we're not going to give you the haul that you think you deserve because we got to pay him $49 million in 2 years. So it comes down to what Domantas Sabonis wants, right? You get a point guard in the building. DeMar DeRozan probably moves on. And then from there, it's literally what do we think is the best plan of attack? And, the text line from the 916 is saying, I don't think there's been a scenario that you guys have come up with that makes the Kings any type of contender. I agree. That's why I think what the Kings is doing is not correct.
Well, here, you want me to give you that scenario? Here's the scenario. Domantas Sabonis consistently plays like one of the 10 best players in the NBA. That is the scenario where the Kings become a contender. It doesn't matter whether they get RJ Barrett or Trae Young. If Domantas Sabonis plays like Karl Anthony Towns did this year or plays like a top 10 player in the NBA consistently every single night, the Kings will make the playoffs. I will guarantee you that. If he plays 75 games like a top 5 to 10 MVP candidate, the Kings will make the playoffs. But that's the bar that we're trying to talk about with all of this, is you're trying to make moves around the margins when the underlying issue is Domantas Sabonis is an excellent, excellent player, but there is a gap between being a top 5 player in the sport and being a top 20 player in the sport that is larger than people give it credit for.
When we return, is there a way for the Kings to get into contention sooner than we think? Also, the NFL sleeper teams, there is a team that is starting to worry me for my Raiders, and I believe it should worry you for the Niners as well. Allen Stiles, Sacktown Sports.
Get a $15 prepaid MasterCard after rebate when you buy 5 quarts of Mobil 1 full synthetic motor oil at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Hey, it's Mike Rohn. If I have a choice, I like to do business with companies that actually stand for something. That's why I switched from Verizon to Pure Talk. No offense to Verizon, I'm sure they stand for something. I just don't know what it is. Pure Talk, on the other hand, is a veteran-owned company that supports our military in a big way, and I appreciate that. Yeah, I also appreciate unlimited talk and text and plenty of data for half the cost of the big guys, and I do like being on America's most dependable 5G network for just $20 a month. But what I really appreciate is no contract, no cancellation fees, and Pure Talk's commitment to handle all their customer service in this country. I saw it for myself. I went to Georgia. I got a tour of their headquarters. I met their CEO, and I talked to the same customer service folks that you'll talk to when you dial pound 250 and say keyword micro. Switch today and save 50% off your first month when you dial pound 250 and say keyword micro. Pure Talk, a wireless company that actually stands for something.
Come check out Capital Casino, Sacramento's #1 poker room with the most variety of table games in the region in a safe and friendly environment. Plenty of well-lit parking available, conveniently located in downtown Sacramento. And remember, Capital Casino has the best food, the best service, and the best action. 411 North 16th Street in downtown Sacramento. For more information, log on to capital-casino.com, and please gamble responsibly. 1-800-GAMBLER.
Skeeter here. Got a question. What's small and dark with white bands on its legs and bites during the day?
Mosquitoes. Hi, I'm Luz Maria Robles, but these are 2 new types of day-biting mosquitoes. They're invading our area and becoming a big problem.
And they can be dangerous.
But we're on it, so when you see them, report it at fightthebite.net. In the meantime, use insect repellent and drain stagnant water around your yard.
We're here to help with these day-biting mosquitoes.
Visit us at fightthebite.net.
The Memorial Day Race to Savings is on. Get the best deals of the season at Folsom Lake Honda, your one-stop Honda shop.
Looking to own or lease? During the Memorial Day Race to Savings, drive a brand new Accord or Civic. Visit us today at FolsomLakeHonda.com, your one-stop Honda shop.
As a family-owned and operated dealership since 2009, customer service is our #1 priority. Our customers love doing business with us, and you will too.
Folsom Lake Honda, yeah, your one-stop Honda shop.
When you're hiring, have you ever felt like you're missing out on meeting truly great candidates for your roles? It seems impossible to find them, but they have to be out there somewhere, right? Well, they're not hard to find when you know where to go, and that place is ZipRecruiter. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter helps 10 million people with their job search every day. And because these people are actively looking for jobs just like yours, it's easy to find the right person right away. In fact, 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. But if you're not using ZipRecruiter, you're missing out. So see what it's like when the impossible is easy. When you go to ZipRecruiter.com/free right now to try ZipRecruiter for free. Once again, that's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free. Never miss out on great candidates with ZipRecruiter.
KHD1 Sacramento, KYMX HD3 Sacramento.
Your flagship station for the Beam Team.
From the Power Business Technology Toshiba Studios.
This is Sacktown Sports 1140. Your home for Kings Talk and so much more.
Live and local.
Allen Stiles on Sacktown Sports.
An NFL Friday, we do have some more news coming from the Kings and the coaching staff updates. So we already went over, and if you're just now joining us, thank you for joining us. We already went over Chris Darnell, the new assistant coach that was named this morning, most recently with the Cleveland Charge as their head coach. But in addition to that, NBA longtime assistant Mike Miller, and he spent the last 3 seasons with the Wizards, is joining Doug Christie's staff as an assistant. And Paul Jesperson is also joining the staff as the head of player development.
Wait, that Mike Miller?
I don't think it's that Mike
It's
Miller.
not that Mike Miller, NBA
No.
Finals?
I don't believe so, because this Mike Miller that I'm seeing that last was with the Wizards, was born in 1964. It's a different Mike Miller.
Okay, so different Mike Miller. Not
Yes.
not that
And
Mike
it says
Miller.
right here, for the NBA basketball coach and former NBA player, see Mike Miller, basketball, born 1980.
Oh, I see. Different Mike Miller.
Different Mike Miller.
Okay, let's see. Let's learn a little bit about this Mike Miller. Oh, was interim head coach of the Knicks when they fired Fizdale. So
there you go.
You get one pick, I get another.
That's right.
Here comes the Scott Perry connections.
Doug went random with Darnell.
Head coach of the Westchester Knicks G League team under Scott Perry.
There you go.
You get one pick, I get the next one.
Okay, well, now let's look up Paul Jesperson and if there's a connection there. So the only one still so far is Chris Darnell. Paul Jesperson, born in 1992. And I believe, he had a crazy buzzer beater in March Madness not too long ago.
Oh yeah, that's right. I remember him. The like half court shot against Texas A&M for was it Northern Iowa? I remember that.
So he was the before coming over, the assistant coach for the Valley Suns. So no connection. That's the Phoenix Suns. So I'm looking for the connection. I don't see it yet.
Well, it looks like he was playing in the G League for a while, and then went to play overseas a little bit.
This is a pretty quick jump for him. I mean, he was playing pretty recently.
I got a feeling this is an entry level coaching position for Mr. Jesperson, considering
player development, head of player development, head.
That's a title.
Head.
Gotta be careful when you say that on the air.
Of player development.
I would say he's the seventh coach we've heard so far. So that's pretty deep on the bench.
He's back rowing it. Don't get me wrong. He's back rowing it.
But that's what you expect for an entry level first job on an NBA bench. He was the assistant coach over there, but also this was another funny thing. Did you know that the Suns didn't have a G League team until last year? They just did not choose to participate until last season.
Like the Kings in the California Classic.
Yeah, the Suns opted out of the G League until last year.
I love that.
Because you don't have to have a G League. Everyone agrees it's a good idea, right? Because if you get one Duncan Robinson or one Keon Ellis, it's worth your G League investment times 8. But Phoenix was just like, nope. We're good. We don't need a G League team.
Yeah. So more updates, and probably pretty darn close to being good, right? I mean, a lot of names, some names who stayed, like a Leandro Barbosa. Yeah, they got to be pretty close now.
Well, let's do quick math in our heads. So we've got Doug Christie, Mike Woodson, lead assistant, Bobby Jackson, presumably third on the bench. Then we would have what's our friend Chris Darnell?
Yeah.
Leandro Barbosa.
Right. And some
Mike Miller
chairs, Mike Miller, Jesperson,
Jimmy Alapag, we believe is still around.
So what is that?
That's 8.
That's 8. So maybe 2 more that they might not even really name
deep
like that.
Player assistant. Well, then I forgot who the Stockton Kings person who has been kind of hanging around the organization the last couple days. Drapes' guy. I can't remember his name, but it's Drapes' guy.
Yeah.
Is still around somewhere. Maybe he's a part of the coaching staff.
So there you go. And I think a lot of people, look, it's the coaching staff. Nobody cares that much until the games actually start. But, when the Kings, you're not doing California Classic, you don't have a first round pick. This is what we have. These are the crumbs that we have right now. That's just the reality. That's it. So that came out. We will keep you in the loop on what's up.
Before we move on, 530 on the text line said, just turned on my radio to hear Allen on repeat saying the word head.
Yeah, look, man, I got nothing. Head of player development.
No. 530, whatever you're thinking in your head. See what I did there? Whatever you're thinking of in your head that Allen was saying, that is exactly what Allen was talking about.
Head of player development. Okay. All right. We got the Sacramento Kings cycle of pain.
Speaking of head.
Yeah. Get the Sacramento Kings cycle of pain coming up. And that is. Senor Segway strikes again midway through this 12 o'clock hour. Wanted to spend some time on the NFL sleepers this season and who I am starting to get a bit worried about. as far as the teams that I need the Raiders and the Niners to beat to get to their overs. And the AFC South is a team that we just give out W's when it's the AFC South. Kyle, you know I'm big on recruits. You know I'm big on prospects. I'm huge on all of that. I love the hope. There's hope for your organization, right? I'm seeing some clips, brother, and I'm falling for it. Jalen Milroe, Cam Ward, Shador, all of these clips from OTAs, I'm falling for all of it. And I'll tell you what, Kyle, this might be a terrible take in a couple months, but the Tennessee Titans, the Cam Ward thing, I didn't know what to do with. These guys that just pop up and have one or two good seasons from the transfer portal. He's in Miami. I don't know what to do with a lot of these guys, but I'm watching some of these videos, and the Titans, everybody thinks they have a dude. I did the same thing with Bo Nix. I was in a Bo Nix black hole last night, and everybody thinks that they have a guy. But Cam Ward, he might not surprise me. He was the number one pick, but the Titans might be better. Again, those random, there's no scouting report besides what you did in college, the Jaden Daniels breakout season, the CJ Stroud breakout season. I think the Titans are going to be really tough. I'd say the Niners probably beat him, but I'm worried about my Raiders because I don't see them getting to 8 wins if they don't beat the Titans.
So it's interesting because in the I say modern NFLs, if it's not the last 5 years, like if you get that dude at the top of the draft, you can have a pretty quick turnaround, right? Throw out the Urban Meyer season. Trevor Lawrence's first year with Doug Peterson, they won a playoff game. Mm-hmm. CJ Stroud's first 2 years with the Texans, they win a playoff game. Jaden Daniels, his first season, they go to the freaking NFC championship game. So you're making the assessment that Cam Ward is going to be that dude, and so by proxy, the Titans have a chance to do a real quick turnaround.
And if I'm staying consistent with how I feel about these guys and the sophomore slumps that we just saw CJ Stroud go through, I know his wide receivers were injured. That has no bearing on how I fully think Cam Ward's career will go. I just feel like he'll have a breakout season next season. The same way, I don't know what people can try to convince me that Jaden Daniels is going to be a great in this league for 10 years. I got 2 letters for you and 1 number for you. RG3. We did the same thing with RG3. And it was injury, don't get me wrong. RG3 weighed about 30 more pounds than Jaden Daniels. And obviously, I hope that's not the reason. I'm just saying we just watched this with CJ Stroud. People keep telling me, Allen, we didn't watch this. Jaden Daniels is even better. It's still a we just got up to the bigs, no scouting report, and you catch teams sleeping.
Which, by the way, Jaden Daniels broke his rib halfway through the season and was playing through that. So it's not like there's not injury concerns with any football player, but specifically him.
So I'm worried as far as my sleeper team for this season, Kyle, and we'll get yours. It's the Titans. It's the Titans to me.
Tighten up.
I think, I don't even know. I know they had Traylon Burks, and he looked so bad. I saw a clip of him, and he looked huge, and he looked bad. But I think the Titans are going to be that random team. Not that they do anything crazy, but they're going to be that W on so many schedules, and that is going to be what messes up a lot of win totals. The Titans are going to mess up a lot of win totals.
Honestly, their whole receiver room is a who he play for. But I would also say
they got somebody in the draft. I remember.
Yeah, I mean a 4th rounder, not like a star. They got Eric Ayamaner. So I don't know.
I know him well.
Sure. Anyways, but Washington's was a who's who of receivers last year too. They had Zacchaeus. Other than Terry McLaurin, they had Zacchaeus and a bunch of dudes named Brown. So it's a who's who. They've got Tyler Lockett though now.
And that guy's never gotten tackled. You know what's funny? It's almost like, again, following the Washington pattern. It's almost like, hey Cam, let's see what you do with these terrible receivers so we can really know what we have quickly. We're not going to, it's not Joe, you're not going to automatically get a Jamar Chase or whoever it is. We're going to give you some garbage receivers and see if you can pop.
That's not fair. They're not garbage.
No.
They're just guys other teams didn't want.
Okay, whatever's left of Calvin Ridley, whatever's left of Tyler Lockett. My point is they're going to sneak. This is what we're going to do. It's the same thing as Jaden Daniels. He's going to sneak up on teams, mess up the Raiders win total, mess up a couple teams win total, and we're going to say, dang, he did that with Tyler Lockett and Calvin Ridley's skeleton. Get my guy some help. That's what's going to happen.
Yeah, but if they go 8-8 or 9-8 next year, and they sneak into a wild, if they do what Bo Nix did last year, 9-8,
yes,
make the playoffs,
yes,
just get smoked out by the Bills, sneak in because the AFC had so many bad teams, you're going to feel like that is a sleeper win, right? If
I would agree.
If they're in the playoff race the last week of the season.
Without a doubt.
Okay, I can get behind that then. I believe in the Titans. I'll go quick with mine just because we're short on time, but I guess I feel like for sleepers, you have to go to the NFC because in the AFC, 5 teams are going to be good. So if I'm looking at the landscape of the NFC and not doing the NFC South thing, because God, I'm not going to try and pretend I understand what's happening there. Arizona Cardinals are in a weird spot right now.
Don't do it.
I'm not saying they're going to win the division. I'm saying they went from having no front seven to a very, very respectable front seven. They got Sweat from the Eagles. They got somebody else at middle linebacker. I'm forgetting now. They drafted Walter Nolan at defensive tackle. They got Calais Campbell back. Remember Calais Campbell? He's there now. So quietly, they have 2 edge rushers, a good interior, and they got someone at linebacker. I can't remember now. And that was kind of their big problem last year was they could score 30 points, but they were giving up like 35. So if you're looking for a team to sneak into the playoffs, that's probably your best bet is the Arizona Cardinals.
I mean, in their offense, to be fair, James Conner is a dude.
They had a top 7 offense last year.
I mean, Trey McBride might be a top 2 tight end this upcoming season. I think he was a bit under talked about because the Cardinals stunk, but
just got paid like it.
He rode for me. He rode for me in the over-under game. That brother was automatic.
Another quiet thing that you don't realize, they had like a top 5 run blocking offensive line last year. So the only thing with the Cardinals is just they made a lot of changes on defense. Is it going to help? We're going to find out. Right. But if they have a top 20 defense instead of a top 25 defense, they've got a good chance there because that offense is ridiculous.
Who he play for, Jacoby Brissett, is now the backup. I've always said I'd love to be Jacoby Brissett. Like that's my dream.
Yeah,
that's my dream. I have realistic dreams, like when I'm coaching SEC softball with my daughter and getting paid millions. Those are my realistic dreams, and or college baseball, one of the two. Those are my realistic dreams. And I have unrealistic dreams, which is just to wake up Jacoby Brissett.
You want to be able to make $25 million, travel the country.
And not do a damn thing.
Well, no, sometimes you have to, but it's low stakes, right?
And hey, he completed a pass. Great. Here goes $20 more million. Thank you, Jacoby Brissett.
If Jacoby Brissett is playing, you feel like you're fine. By the way, Dalvin Tomlinson was the other person I was thinking of. He killed it last year in Cleveland. So they've got a good shot there. And they got Will Johnson. Remember Will Johnson from Michigan? People thought the Niners were going to take him at 11. They scooped him up in the second round.
So Kyle Sleeper, the Cardinals, which I did away with them after last season. My sleeper, the Titans. And really, I just think they're going to spoil the Raiders win total. That's what I think it is. And possibly the Niners. They have to play both, I believe, on the road, go to Vegas, go to Santa Clara. I think that they can mess around, or they're just going to stink again. We're going to find out. But that is my pick, just based on how everybody is talking about this kid, Cam Ward, and having one of those breakout rookie seasons. When we return, you'll never believe what the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys said about their $60 million quarterback. Still developing. What? Allen Stiles, Sacktown Sports.
Ready for your summer barbecues? We've got you covered. 20 ribeyes for $40 is back in town. Yes, 20 ribeyes for just $40 is back. Happening now this weekend in Folsom at 2 locations. Napa Auto Parts, 9499 Greenback Lane, and American Furniture Galleries, 2785 East Bidwell Street. Enjoy crazy half-price bulk deals on steak, chicken, pork chops, and seafood. Stock up now on prices you haven't seen since 2019. Bulk family party packs to fill your freezer, plus 20 ribeyes for $40 until sold out. 20 ribeyes for $40. Huge truckload meat sale is going fast. Huge bulk deals on New York strips, filet, mega ribeyes, gourmet smash burgers, plus chicken and seafood. 20 ribeye steaks for just $40 and fill your freezer bulk deals while supplies last. All payments accepted. Cash, credit, debit, and EBT. Hurry out. This huge truckload meat sale won't last long. Happening right now this weekend only at Napa Auto Parts on Greenback Lane and American Furniture Galleries on East Bidwell Street in Folsom. On Facebook and Instagram at Essential Foods Direct. Allen Stiles. Watch the show on youtube.com/Sacktown Sports 1140.
Or listen on the Sacktown Sports app.
I think Dak is in the developmental phase. And that sounds crazy for a guy who's played that much, but there are things we're tweaking with Dak. That is head coach of the Dallas Cowboys, Brian Schottenheimer.
Still weird that he's the head coach.
It is.
That is the most you're getting fired after 1 year coach I can think of.
That is what he had to say about Dak Prescott, who, just to remind everyone, just in case you forgot, Dak Prescott, with a $240 million contract, making an average salary of $60 million a year, which is by far the most in the NFL. Jordan Love is second, tied with Trevor Lawrence and his terrible contract. And Joe Burrow and Josh Allen, they're all at 55. Okay? And his guarantee, Dak's guarantee, $231 million, second only behind Josh Allen at $250 million. And I understand we're all still developing, right? You develop until you die. You're getting better or you are evolving every single day. But to say this stuff, and of course, Underdog takes the clip and they post it everywhere and people are just roasting because the Cowboys are just hilarious to me. And the stuff that they do and the way that they do it. And again, in this age of social media, hey, well, we don't know what the context was. Doesn't matter. We know it doesn't matter. It just comes down to a $60 million a year quarterback. You have a head coach saying, and it's not even the developmental phase. We can skip over that. There are things we're tweaking with Dak. What does that mean? How old is this brother? Is he 30?
Oh, yeah, for sure. He's got to be 31, I would say.
Is that some type of, he's 31. He'll be 32 in July. Is that some type of reverse psychology to make it seem like, hey, we can still take another step because of how good Dak's been throughout the years? He could be even better. I think that sounds terrible. There's been too many times Dak has come up short in the biggest situations for you to try to not manipulate, but for you to try to finesse it in a way to make Cowboys fans, not that anybody cares about Cowboys fans, but just in general, make us feel that Dak has another gear. And maybe he does, but he's 31 years old. He's had multiple injuries. He hardly runs anymore. He's a weird pocket passer. And I say weird because he's still kind of mobile, but is allergic to running. I don't know if that's because of the broken foot, very Derek Carr-esque. So I don't know what to do with him. I don't even know if I'm taking Dak over Brock. If I'm being completely honest with you, I think Dak slipped in the draft too. Obviously not like Brock. He was a fourth rounder, but and Dak, yes, has better athletic ability, but that's almost every quarterback in the NFL. No disrespect to Brock. That's about, maybe not every, that's about 60% of the quarterbacks in the NFL. And Brock is a top 10er to me. So I don't know what to do with Dak. I think saying this out loud is insane, and it just is begging for them to get roasted the same way they get roasted every single season. You cannot say to say that you are making tweaks on a $60 million quarterback, a quarterback that you guarantee $231 million to, and to say that out loud. And I know they're trying to make it seem like, well, no, just imagine once we do this, he's 31. He's 31.
Yeah, that's the thing that's tough is you have a second-tier quarterback getting paid first-tier quarterback money who you're trying to convince people is worth first-tier quarterback money. I don't think it's a win or a lose. I just think it's Dak Prescott was an MVP front runner 2 years ago.
Yes.
So we've seen that he can play like one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, but the body of work makes us suggest that that was the anomaly, right? That wasn't the standard. That was 1 year playing like an MVP and 7 years playing like a top 10 quarterback, but not a top 3-4 quarterback, right? That's what we all believe. I guess he's making the point we can get back to where he was.
Get him there, or even better. And, he's a playoff dropper. That's what everybody's saying now in the NBA. Playoff riser, playoff dropper. He's a playoff dropper. I'd argue he's a big game dropper as well. I'm trying to think, Kyle, off the top of my head, an NBA equivalent for Dak Prescott. Obviously, it's not the same because, you're going to get to the playoffs a lot more in the NBA. It's just a longer career. The first name that pops in my head is James Harden, but I think James Harden is better than Dak. I don't know who Dak is in the NBA.
Yeah, who's someone who had like one MVP run.
Right.
But has been a consistently top 10 player for the last few years.
Is he Joel? Is he Joel Embiid?
No, I wouldn't say that. Embiid, I think, is maybe a little bit higher standard. I do think it's funny that Dak Prescott is essentially the Tony Romo of his generation, which is funny because they've both been the Cowboys quarterbacks.
Is he Paul George?
That's not a bad shout.
It could be Paul George.
That's not a bad shout. Paul George finished third for the MVP when he was with Oklahoma City. So Paul George is not a bad shout. It's just, again, it's not apples to apples.
It's not apples to apples, but Paul George is was a number one. And in Indiana, they kept losing. That was LeBron doing his thing. Now he had some respect when he was in Los Angeles with the Clippers. Now he's a podcaster, and we don't know what the hell he is. So I mean, not podcast P, not Paul George right now, but the body of work. Again, understanding that you're going to make the playoffs more often in the NBA, unless you play for the Sacramento Kings.
He also played for some really good teammates, too, which is, you can say, for Dak. I mean, playing with Zeke Elliott and Amari Cooper, and now CeeDee Lamb and Micah Parsons, and you can throw DeMarcus Lawrence in there. And that one season, Trayvon Diggs was like an elite corner, and then it just never happened again.
Well, that one season, and was that coming off their Hard Knock season or going into it? It might have been coming off of it. But when he was actually terrible, but just had the most interceptions, he had like the worst rate as far as the wide receivers scoring on him, but he also had the most interceptions. So nobody knew if he was a good cornerback or not. And then he wasn't.
Yeah. I'm trying to remember.
Then he was injured.
Well, yeah, then the injury happened, which, you can't blame him for that. But I think the Paul George one is as close as we're going to get without having apples to apples of NBA, NFL.
Kyle has a breakdown of the Sacramento Kings cycle of pain. Oh, boy. He breaks it all down when we return. Now on Stiles Sports.
Testing.
We are live from Chick-fil-A.
This is Grant.
And this is Laura.
And a little thing we love about the Chick-fil-A Smokehouse Barbecue Bacon Sandwich is that sweet bun.
And that chicken filet was perfectly crispy and soft at the same time.
And that smokehouse barbecue sauce, it's a lot of fun. And the brown sugar bacon definitely had a little bit more pizzazz. Also, the mac, one of the all-time greats. Man, I'm getting hungry.
Order the Smokehouse Barbecue Bacon Sandwich and a Coca-Cola on the Chick-fil-A app for a limited time. Real guests paid for their testimonials.
Ready to order.
Yes. We're earning unlimited 3% cash back on dining and entertainment with the Capital One Saver Card. So let's just get one of everything.
Everything?
Fire everything. The Capital One Saver Card is at table 27, and they're earning unlimited 3% cash back.
Yes, Chef! This is so nice.
Had a feeling you'd want 3% cash back on dessert.
Ooh, tiramisu.
Earn unlimited 3% cash back on dining and entertainment with the Capital One Saver Card. Capital One, what's in your wallet?
Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com for details.
Bring the whole family to Sutter Health Park for Sacramento River Cats baseball. It's more than a game. It's an experience your kids will never forget. Enjoy exciting action on the field, delicious ballpark food, and fun activities for all ages. From meeting Dinger the mascot to running the bases every Sunday, there's something for everyone. Create lasting memories with your family this season. Get your tickets at rivercats.com.
Why choose a Sleep Number smart bed?
Can I make my side softer?
Can I make my side firmer? Can we sleep cooler?
Sleep Number does that. Cools up to 8 times faster and lets you choose your ideal comfort on either side. Your Sleep Number setting. It's the Sleep Number Everything Smart Bed sale. Every smart bed and base are on sale during our Memorial Day event. Up to 50% off, plus free home delivery. Limited time. Exclusively to Sleep Number store near you. Learn more at sleepnumber.com.
I gotta get business cards printed for my entire staff, but where do I even?
That was easy.
Oh, okay, Staples. But can I have bigger stuff printed too, like huge signs and banners?
That was easy.
Nice. And what if I had to ship a package?
That was easy.
Have my passport photo taken?
That was easy.
Coffee and snacks?
That was easy.
What about the latest laptops?
That was
Earbuds
easy.
and headphones?
That was
Office
easy.
chairs?
That was easy.
I think I also need to get some Staples.
Seriously?
I had to ask.
For everything your business needs to get the job done.
Staples. That was easy.
Want the best movie experience in town? Join Sacktown Sports IMAX Pass by visiting sacktownsports.com. Sign up today. You can win tickets to see this week's films at the Esquire IMAX Theater.
When you're hiring, have you ever felt like you're missing out on meeting truly great candidates for your roles? It seems impossible to find them, but they have to be out there somewhere, right? Well, they're not hard to find when you know where to go, and that place is ZipRecruiter. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter helps 10 million people with their job search every day. And because these people are actively looking for jobs just like yours, it's easy to find the right person right away. In fact, 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. But if you're not using ZipRecruiter, you're missing out. So see what it's like when the impossible is easy. When you go to ZipRecruiter.com/free right now to try ZipRecruiter for free. Once again, that's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free. Never miss out on great candidates with ZipRecruiter.
Skeeter here. Got a question. What's small and dark with white bands on its legs and bites during the day?
Mosquitoes. Hi, I'm Luz Maria Robles, but these are 2 new types of day-biting mosquitoes. They're invading our area and becoming a big problem.
And they can be dangerous.
But we're on it, so when you see them, report it at fightthebite.net. In the meantime, use insect repellent and drain stagnant water around your yard.
We're here to help with these day-biting mosquitoes.
Visit us at fightthebite.net.
Allen Stiles
You can join the show by texting 916-339-1140.
on Sacktown Sports.
Halfway through hour 3, taking you up to 2 p.m. The Drive Guys will grab you after that. I got to go grab a haircut, by the way. And A.J. Brown was complaining about haircuts. This was a couple weeks ago. A.J. Brown was complaining about haircuts. We're going to get into Kyle's cycle of pain. I want to know, to everybody that's out there right now, how you feel about the haircut situation, because I'm not afraid to admit what I pay. I think people are going to freak out when they find out what I pay, because I freak out when I pay. And we got to do this. I mean, we got to do this in a certain way, Kyle.
We playing Prices Right rules?
Well, I want to know if how do I put this? What A.J. Brown is talking about, do you think people with your type of hair setup, and Kyle's got kind of the long, shaggy hair for the car listeners and the app listeners. Is there a haircut issue with you guys or just us?
I don't know if I understand.
You guys, your hair setup versus my hair setup. Curly versus not so curly.
Us versus them.
It's not us versus them, but when you get your hair cut, is there an issue there?
How so?
With price? With pricing?
Price? I mean, I'd like it to cost less, but I also don't have as much to do with my haircuts as perhaps you might. You might be doing some more work.
Are you a super cuts guy? Are you a great clips guy?
No.
I'm not, hey,
come on.
Hey, we'll be a sponsor.
Careful there. Don't put me in that camp.
I'm asking. I just found out I was walking
Christie's Cuts.
Yes, I was walking to somewhere, the pharmacy or whatever, and I didn't even notice there was like the smallest Great Clips right, like 5-minute walk from my house.
Yeah,
just saw a dude just got chopped up. Now going to the grocery store. I do wish, because that's the game changer, right? If Great Clips or Supercuts, if they just said, hey, each Great Clips, we're going to have a barber that can do Allen type of hair setups. And
like you, yeah.
Yes, like me. Like a taper. You know what I'm saying? The more curlier type of hair. Okay. If they just invested and said, hey, every Great Clips is going to have one of y'all, right? We're going to show us what you can do, and we're going to charge because we can, right? You just kind of monopolize it. We're going to have the black, the black cuts, right? Or
I don't think they're going to call it that.
We're going to have the textured cuts. Okay. We're going to have the textured cuts at a lower price point, and we are going to change the game. That's what I would tell Great Clips right now. Go get you one barber, because we will give you this money, because I do it because I really like my barber. Okay, and I've been with him the longest. I'm on barber number 3 here in Sacramento. In October will have been 2 years that I've been out here, and I'm on barber number 3, and I hope I don't lose it. But if Great Clips or Supercut says we got you $20 cheaper, and I have proof that you can give me my burst fade or whatever I need, I'm there. Do the deal.
Black?
Do the deal. I'm just saying, man, because I'm getting my haircut today right before I go to River Cats, and it's an investment at this point. And the crazy thing is, a lot of these haircuts, it's all about the side. Like my barber, one of the last thing he does is actually shape the idea of a quote unquote haircut. Like when you were growing up, that's not even what it is. He spends more time blending the sides and tapering the sides in the back before, and he barely even actually, and lining it up. That's what you're paying. So there's a small part of me that just wants to keep my hair, wants to cut it just for the money's worth. But at my age, you're not going all the way down.
You're not ready to come home yet.
Because, I think it'll come back, but I don't know that for a fact. I have no clue.
I'm sorry. I think we could do the game back and forth of who pays more, but the fact I lost you once you were suggesting that that Supercuts has a separate additional part of the store that is just black cuts.
Just one barber per Great Clips. I guarantee you their numbers will skyrocket. Okay.
But
I won't give you an exact number. But
Here.
You go and I'll say higher or lower.
Okay, so here's the bar. Tip included, I pay $30 for a haircut.
And you're not going to Great Clips?
No.
And you're not going to Supercuts?
Go to a barbershop. Great Clips, it's like $7.99.
They give you a past blue ribbon. I love those barbershops that give you a beer.
It's not one of those barbershops. I can promise you that.
It's not going to be $30. Those barbershops will give you a $2 past blue ribbon, and you think, oh, cool, they're giving out free beer, and the haircut is $100.
Sure, but I'm also not, like I said before, I'm not doing the detailing. I don't need gel,
So let's say
product. I don't need product.
Let's say somebody in your situation that maybe has a beard and is doing a little bit more, but your hair setup, okay, it's probably getting to about 45.
You're saying at a
black? No, I'm saying at one of yours.
That has my hair situation?
Yes, but a beard, they have facial hair.
Yeah.
They're doing a little bit more than you.
If you're getting the taper, if you're styling the beard, which honestly, I don't know. Are you styling the beard or you do it yourself?
They do it and I pay extra.
Okay, see, that's where they get you. Okay.
Right.
I think the compromise is you got to start doing your own beard.
I cut it down myself, but they blend it all together and they line it up. It's tough, man. Okay, so you're at 30, which is crazy.
Yeah. I mean, again, that's with a tip. It's like 20
with
something.
A tip.
Yeah, 20 something for the haircut, $10 tip.
That is Great Clips. That is Great Clips.
That's not Great Clips.
What's Great Clips? $15?
Great Clips is $20 and I'm not giving you a tip.
All right, you want to guess mine?
I honestly don't know. I've never been to a Great Clips, so I actually don't know how much it costs.
I would imagine it's about $25, $30.
I genuinely don't know.
916-339-1140 on a Feel Good Friday. What do you pay for your haircut? And if you go to Great Clips or Supercuts, how much is it?
See, this is the other part, though. This is the first time I haven't been to a barber shop in like 9 months because, I'm just kind of trimming back the long hair a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what it's like now because normally it's like, you do a buzz on the sides, cut it down to like 3/4 of an inch on the top. Now I have to get it styled and profiled a little bit. So
that's going to cost you big bucks there.
So let's see. If 30 was so insulting you threw your headphones down, I'm going to go 50.
And are you guessing before or after tip? Let's be clear.
With the tip.
No.
55.
No.
And how often are you paying for this, by the way?
And that's the other thing. Right. I'll try to get myself through. I'm a once a month type of guy.
Once a month. Ooh.
It might every 3 weeks or so. If I have river cats, I'll probably up it to every 3 weeks.
Ooh. Ooh. Mm-hmm. Even when I had short hair, it was once every 2 months. So
okay, well, we have, like I said, different setups.
Black?
Yeah.
I would say final answer, $66.
No, but you're real close. You're real close, but it is higher than that. But just round up, basically.
Your budget for a month is my budget for a year
crazy.
Right now.
It's crazy.
Again, different. Your barbershop is not the same as my barbershop, but all I'm saying is just you can't like grab a little razor, detail the sides a little bit.
Like I said, I'm only going once a month, once every 3 weeks. That's all I can afford. I got to make a decision: diapers or a haircut.
So this is a choice. You could go more frequently.
No, I couldn't. No, I could not afford to go.
I'm saying frequently. if you were paying what I was paying,
I would definitely go. If I was paying what you were paying, I'd go every other week.
You would go every other week
if I could.
Okay, I just was curious.
If I could, but I am. I'll see the TikTok. There are a couple of different tricks that I'm seeing, and I'm close, man. I've gotten better at surviving, but it still isn't good. I got a bunch of texts coming through here, and some pay more than me. Some pay less than Kyle. We'll have some fun with that, and we get to Kyle's King's Cycle of Pain when we return. Now, Style Sacktown Sports.
I'm Ken Korak with your Green and Gold Report, brought to you by Comcast Business, powering possibilities. Well, when the A's broke their losing streak to finish the last homestand, it was a special day for Logan Davidson and Willie MacIver. Each guy got his first major league hit. And for MacIver, who grew up an A's fan, he drove in the go-ahead run in the bottom of the eighth inning and threw out the potential tying run to end the game. A storybook finish to a special afternoon. Comcast Business helps turn today's small businesses into engines of modern business. It's how restaurants become reliably up and running neighborhood favorites. It's how retailers become seamlessly restocking, cyber-securing must-visit shops. And it's how healthcare offices become data-managing caregivers that we all depend on. With reliable connectivity, enhanced cybersecurity, advanced fiber solutions, and Wi-Fi backup, Comcast Business is powering the engine of modern business.
Bonneville International Radio Station contests are open to participants at least 18 years of age and older that are residents of California and who reside in one of the 6 counties that make up the Sacramento metro area, unless otherwise specified. Employees or agents of the station, Bonneville International Corporation, other area radio stations, or any entity associated with the contest are not eligible to win, unless the station otherwise specifies in its own discretion. Persons who have won in the last 30 days from a station contest or event may not be eligible. For a copy of the general contest rules, visit khdk.com.
The Memorial Day Race to Savings is on. Get the best deals of the season at Folsom Lake Honda, your one-stop Honda shop.
Looking to own or lease? During the Memorial Day Race to Savings, drive a brand new Accord or Civic. Visit us today at FolsomLakeHonda.com, your one-stop Honda shop.
As a family-owned and operated dealership since 2009, customer service is our number one priority. Our customers love doing business with us, and you will too.
Folsom Lake Honda, yeah, your one-stop Honda shop.
An Australian hiker travels to the American West to walk a wilderness trail.
Wasn't afraid to be out on his own.
But Eric Robinson vanished in the high Uinta Mountains.
I remember thinking, Eric, what were you thinking, mate?
I'm Dave Cawley. Join me on my podcast, Uinta Triangle, where I travel the world to answer the question, what happened to Eric Robinson? Follow Uinta Triangle. That's UINTA Triangle on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen.
Hello, Sacramento. I'm Emran Pilati, owner of True Sports Cards and Collectible Store here in Rockland, California, and the host of the True Sports Cards Show that airs right here on Sacktown Sports 1140 every Saturday from 10 to 11 a.m., where we discuss the latest trends, hottest products, and deliver exclusive interviews with other industry leaders. And don't forget to visit our shop, True Sports Cards, at 6661 Stanford Ranch Road in Rockland and see what we have for all your sports card and memorabilia needs.
Saturday, June 7th, the Spears Car Stores West lights up the Stockton 99 Speedway with limited and pro late models, MMI Legends, Mini Stocks, and NCMA Sprints. Presented to you by Tracy Ford. Gates open at 5, racing at 6. Grab your tickets now at Stockton99.com. Be there.
Live and local.
It's Allen Stiles
on Sacktown Sports.
We have Kyle's King's Cycle of Pain coming up. We also have the Vegas Insider, most vulgar NBA fans, most negative NBA fans. Where do Sacramento Kings fans fall? Also, the most used curse word by each fan base. The Vegas Insider having some fun. That's how you know it's the summer, baby. We are headed straight into the hot weather, and it's going to be a hot one today, so be sure to stay hydrated. My first day wearing shorts. See, I'm very weird with shorts, Kyle, but I'm wearing shorts today. My first River Cats game wearing shorts. I'm normally a pants guy, but triple digits, I'm not messing around, so I got my shorts on today. It's going to be a good one out there at Sutter Health Park. We hope to see you out there. A bunch of texts coming in about this haircut conversation, okay? And I'm just going to read through all the ones that are appropriate. 916 says, Great Clips is $22, okay? And it's actually $22 with the tip. 916 is making me feel a little bit better. I pay $80, tip included. That's for a haircut and beard lineup. How do we ask this question, Kyle, to the 916? Do you look more like me or Kyle?
Here, I got it for us. Just
I'm trying to find out the averages here based on, types of hair. I want to find out, am I paying more than my partner here in that way?
Yes, you are. Also, someone on the text line said $26 Great Clips and then $5 tip. First of all, if you're tipping $5 at the barber shop, that is terrible.
What's an appropriate tip?
You gotta go again. Restaurants, different rules. Barbershop minimum is 30%. You should probably be tipping 50% of whatever your haircut costs.
We got the tip police here.
At a barber shop.
Kyle, 30% of $70. That's more diapers, brother.
Yeah.
Okay, hear me out on this, and we will get back to sports. Hold on now. Is there any part of you that feels like if you are charging, I had a guy, my second guy, right? My second barber that I ended up leaving, he raised his price to $70. And before, he was at $60, okay? He raised his price to $70, no warning. It was so funny. I actually asked him, because I thought, hey, am I grandfathered in at my initial price? And he said, hell no, right? And I stopped going to him. In my opinion, how I felt was that, okay, at $60, you going to 70 is telling me people aren't tipping you well enough, and I don't think I fall in that category. So I'm now not going to, I cannot tip you properly now that you've raised your price to $70, so I can't go to you anymore. That's how I felt. I felt like he raised it to 70, not thinking that people were going to tip better, but because people weren't tipping well, okay, I'm leaving here with something, so I'm just going to raise my price.
Yeah, and that's honestly fair.
And I would have stayed, but I felt bad giving him 70 straight up and not tipping him, and I didn't want to pay him more than $70.
This is kind of my thought, is like, if your haircut is taking an hour, that person's time is worth $50 an hour. So you can start there and then build off of that. If your haircut only takes 20 minutes like mine does, in and out, $30, have a good day. Mm-hmm. But if you got to take up the guy's whole day, you better make it at least $50 at the end of the day. Like, we're starting at $50. If the haircut is $30, we got to get to at least $50 for your time.
916, I'll give a shout out. Why not? Jimmy's Barber Shop, $50 with the tip. We need some more information on Jimmy's. I just need to know who's in Jimmy's. Who's in Jimmy's Barber Shop?
Black?
The 916 says, my barber gives me bourbon, $55 with the tip. I like that.
I've never heard of that one before.
I like that. UPS Chris, Sports Clips, $50 out the door with the tip, haircut, shampoo, face towel, and massage. I'll get the towel sometimes. Sometimes I don't.
See, this is what we're talking about here. You got to go for efficiency at the barber.
I don't ask for the towel, though. Sometimes I just get the towel.
They just give it to you?
Seems like, Alan, it seems like you need the towel. That's what it sounds like. 916 says, as a woman, I don't even want to hear y'all complain about how much you pay for your haircut. That's very true. But counterpoint, we go much more often than you. So how do those numbers?
That is also not true.
Yes, it is. Well, it depends on who you are. I know my wife only goes in once every blue moon. She pays probably about $2 whatever, not pocket watching. Okay.
Sure, but we also don't go to salons or stylists.
I'm just saying, though, that's not all the right. But I'm not talking about nails or anything like that. I'm talking about hair.
Yeah, a hair salon, hairstylist.
They're not going every month like us.
It depends, man. Beauty standards are different for us.
You're right. I would have to ask that 916, how often are you going?
Well, I'm not going to do that.
No,
I'm going to trust that she is correct.
Sure. 916, if you go to Great Clips and don't have a permanent barber, you are a child. Thank you for that, 916. And last but not least, why do you have to tip your barber anyway? That's from a different 916. You're trying to get us in trouble, man. It's customer service. Come on. And by the way, and it's a Friday, so we're doing Carmichael Day Friday is what we should be calling it. By the way, I saw the coolest thing at the county fair when I got if you follow me on social media, I got an orange chicken burrito. Okay. That's what you do at the fair. You get random stuff. I got an orange chicken burrito. That's not the cool part, even though that was cool. The tips had they turn around the iPad like they always do. The tip had 3 options. And I actually took a screenshot. Let me pull it up real quick, Kyle, because I never saw anything like that.
Okay.
It said 15%, $2.70 for the dishwasher. 18%, $3.24 for the cook. 20%, $3.60 for the whole crew. I need that.
Wait, hold on.
Basically, it was breaking down the tip for you.
Who's getting what?
Who's getting what? And that is the most beautiful thing I've ever seen.
Okay.
Because when I go to even a Starbucks or they start turning that thing around, I'm thinking, where is this going? And why, by the way, are we tipping Starbucks or any of these places before we get our product? I don't know what I want to tip you. I went to a coffee place one of those days ago. They didn't warm up my coffee cake, but I already had tipped them.
Well, I guess you could put no tip down on the electronic machine and then put cash in the jar. But I know some coffee shops are cashless now, so it's kind of tough.
All right, Kyle, let's get to this cycle.
The cycle of pain?
Yes.
All right. Well, this is going to be a hard transition
It's hard, all right.
For the people who are used to, gosh, damn, that would have been a great time to use the head drop. I wasn't ready. Anyways, the cycle of pain. We know that the Sacramento Kings have made some tough decisions, but you can connect basically every NBA playoff run of the last 11 seasons to one of 5 bad decisions the Sacramento Kings have made along the way. And I kind of recognize this when the Tyrese Haliburton, people were saying like, oh, look how cursed the Kings are that Luka goes to the finals last year and Tyrese goes to the finals this year. And obviously the Pacers aren't there yet, but I kind of thought like, if you really think about all the bad, the decisions they've made, they all connect to playoff runs, like spanning the generations for the Kings. And I actually went back and figured out, oh yeah, you can connect basically every NBA Finals run of the last 11 years to something the Kings did wrong.
Crazy.
And it's basically 5 decisions is what I'm going to limit it to. There's obviously other ones, but I'm just going to limit it to 5 decisions. Number 1, 2011 drafting Jimmer Fredette, 1 pick before Klay Thompson. Number 2, drafting Thomas Robinson over Damian Lillard in 2012. You can also throw in Ben McLemore over CJ McCollum. I'm just going to put the Blazers in there altogether. Number 3, letting Isaiah Thomas leave in free agency because they didn't want to pay him an extra $7 million. Number 4, Marvin Bagley over Luka. And number 5, trading Tyrese Haliburton to Indiana for Sabonis. Those 5 moves you can connect to basically every single playoff run of the last 11 years.
And you know what's funny is that it's probably not going to end. And I've always been very tough on De'Aaron Fox and how I have felt about his time in Sacramento is well documented. There's more to come. Because they're going on a deep playoff run at some point. It might not be immediate, but they're going on a deep playoff run at some point.
You can add the De'Aaron Fox trade in there when it happens. I'm just going to go real quick because I know we're short on time. I'm just going to list year by year how those 5 moves, Jimmer over Klay, Thomas Robinson over Dame, and Ben McLemore over CJ, Isaiah Thomas, Marvin Bagley, and trading Tyrese, how they all connect to every playoff run, okay? 2015, Klay Thompson wins the NBA Finals with the Warriors. 2016, Klay Thompson makes it to the NBA Finals with the 73-9 Warriors. 2017, Isaiah Thomas and the Boston Celtics go to the conference finals. Klay Thompson also wins the NBA Finals. 2018, Isaiah Thomas gets traded to the Cavaliers, which ends up helping the Cavs get back to the NBA Finals in 2018. Also, Klay Thompson wins the NBA Finals with the Warriors. 2019, guess who played in the Western Conference Finals? Klay Thompson versus Damian Lillard and the Portland Trail Blazers. Both guys the Kings passed on 1 pick before they could have had both players. 2020, remember in the bubble? Champion didn't hurt, but guess who won bubble MVP? That's right, Damian Lillard, bubble MVP, who could have been a Sacramento King. 2021 is the only year that you kind of get a break, although that's when Luka made the playoffs for the first time. 2022, guess who played in the Western Conference Finals that year? Klay Thompson and the Warriors against Luka Doncic and the Mavericks, both of whom the Sacramento Kings could have picked 1 pick before they could have happened. Obviously, the Warriors go on to win the finals. 2023, the Kings finally make it back to the playoffs, and guess who they lost to? Klay Thompson and the Golden State Warriors, whom they could have had one pick after Jimmer Fredette. 2024, Sacramento Kings get to the play-in tournament. Guess who they lose to? CJ McCollum, who they could have had in 2013 instead of Ben McLemore. Also, guess who makes it to the Eastern Conference Finals? Luka Doncic and Tyrese Haliburton. 2025, this year, guess who knocked the Kings out of the play-in? Again, Klay Thompson, who they could have had in 2011, and now Tyrese Haliburton also potentially goes to the finals. Every single Sacramento Kings mistake, every single playoff run of the last 11 years, you can connect back to something that the Sacramento Kings did wrong.
And you know what's crazy is that you can do this with other teams, but like we've said before, other teams have relief, right? The Minnesota Timberwolves, nobody roasts them still about Steph Curry for passing on Steph Curry twice because they've done other things since then, right? They had the Jimmy Butler time. They had, Karl Anthony Towns or a couple other. They had Jimmy Butler. They had Andrew Wiggins. They've done other things, and now they have Anthony Edwards, right? That is the difference, because you could say Steph Curry for all of them, but they have relief in the run that they just went on. There's no relief for the Kings, and they have multiple spots, right? Klay was carrying a lot of that, but you also have other things sprinkled in. That was great.
You have Isaiah Thomas. You have the Portland Trail Blazers on their runs. You have Luka now. You have Tyrese Haliburton.
It's crazy.
It's like even in the years where Klay isn't there, or even in the years Isaiah Thomas fades out of the league, you can still find mistakes that the Sacramento Kings made that connect to some sort of deep playoff run.
One of a kind. Speaking of those Minnesota Timberwolves, how can the Kings acquire Julius Randle? Also, Brian Windhorst has some news on the Timberwolves and Kevin Durant. Allen Stiles, Sacktown Sports.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today?
My car is making this noise. Sometimes it's like doot, 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 and sometimes it's like grrr.
Do you have a dash light on?
Oh, yeah.
Then we don't have to listen for clues. With the free Fix Finder service, we can read a check engine, ABS, or maintenance light to find the likely fix and even recommend a local shop if you need one.
So you don't need to hear the grrr.
Not with Fix Finder. Everything you need, nothing you don't.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
Huge news. Right now at Wendy's, you can get a Son of Baconator for just $3. I don't think you understand this situation. The Son of Baconator is only $3 for a limited time. You know, smoked bacon, rich melted cheese. That Son of Baconator is only $3. Thank you to whoever wished upon that star. For bacon that just won't quit, gotta be Wendy's.
U.S. price and participation may vary. Prices may be higher in Alaska and Hawaii, not valid on a combo or on third-party delivery platforms.
Are you having trouble hearing? Hearing loss can devastate the quality of your life. Now, there's an affordable fix for you or your loved one. Rated the best hearing aids of 2025 by Forbes Health, Audion Hearing has the highest quality hearing aids at the lowest prices, starting at just $98 a pair.
I actually like them better than my old $5,000 hearing aid.
I could not believe how my hearing and life changed.
Join over 1 million happy customers by going to audionhearing.com. That's AUDIEN hearing.com.
For 70 years, we've been known as the Humane Society of the United States. But as the challenges animals face have grown, so have we. We are now called Humane World for Animals. And with you on our side, we are going to end animal cruelty around the globe. Join us. Humane World for Animals. The end of animal cruelty.
Why choose a Sleep Number smart bed?
Can I make my side softer?
Can I make my side firmer?
Can we sleep cooler?
Sleep Number does that. Cools up to 8 times faster and lets you choose your ideal comfort on either side. Your Sleep Number setting. It's the Sleep Number Everything Smart Bed sale. Every smart bed and base are on sale during our Memorial Day event. Up to 50% off, plus free home delivery. Limited time. Exclusively to Sleep Number store near you. Learn more at sleepnumber.com.
Progressive knows if you have to choose between everyday life and your RV, RV wins.
What, are you going to take the RV to the lake or clean out your closet? RV wins! Putting the dishes away or taking the RV camping? RV wins! wins. Cleaning the fridge or taking a trip to the beach. RV wins.
You might want to clean the fridge real quick because, mold.
We clean out the fridge, then take the RV out.
With Progressive, you can bundle your RV with your home or auto and save with a discount and spend more time enjoying those savings in your RV. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and other insurers not available in all states and situations.
Get ready for a summer of music, comedy, and thrills with the Sacktown Sports Live events calendar. Kick it off with punk legends The Damned at Ace of Spades May 31st. Then laugh it up with comedian Kathleen Madigan at Hard Rock Live Sacramento June 7th. Country fans, mark your calendars. Whitey Morgan and the 78s roll into town June 19th, followed by jam-packed June 21st. Tainted Love is at Ace of Spades. Lee Bryce and Walker Hayes are at Ironstone Amphitheater, and Penn and Teller are at Thunder Valley. Then it's 3 days of music and wine at the Country Summer Music Festival, June 27th through the 29th at the Sonoma County Fairgrounds. Don't miss the tradition and thrills of the Folsom Pro Rodeo July 3rd through 5th, followed by country superstar Cody Johnson at Golden One Center July 18th. August brings legends. Catch Rick Springfield August 1st and Parker McCollum at the Ironstone Amphitheater June 16th. Grab your tickets now and don't miss a beat. Only with Sacktown Sports.
Ready for your summer barbecues? We've got you covered. 20 ribeyes for $40 is back in town. Yes, 20 ribeyes for just $40 is back. Happening now this weekend in Folsom at 2 locations. Napa Auto Parts, 9499 Greenback Lane, and American Furniture Galleries, 2785 East Bidwell Street. Enjoy crazy half-price bulk deals on steak, chicken, pork chops, and seafood. Stock up now on prices you haven't seen since 2019. Bulk family party packs to fill your freezer, plus 20 ribeyes for $40 until sold out. 20 ribeyes for $40 huge truckload meat sale is going fast. Huge bulk deals on New York strips, filet, mega ribeyes, gourmet smash burgers, plus chicken and seafood. 20 ribeye steaks for just $40 and fill your freezer bulk deals while supplies last. All payments accepted. Cash, credit, debit, and EBT. Hurry out. This huge truckload meat sale won't last long. Happening right now this weekend only at Napa Auto Parts on Greenback Lane and American Furniture Galleries on East Bidwell Street in Folsom. On Facebook and Instagram at Essential Foods Direct.
Whitey here for Napoleon Grills, reminding you that when buying a new grill, every detail matters. While supplies last, you'll receive a $149 gift with purchase on every new Napoleon Prestige stainless steel grill. The kit even includes a pizza lover starter kit and much more. And now up to $79 off Napoleon Rogue models. Napoleon grills are built different, built better, built to last, with a lifetime warranty and premium steel that boasts amazing quality. Visit Green Acres Nursery today for your best selection of Napoleon grills and accessories.
KHD1 Sacramento, KYMX HD3 Sacramento. From the Power Business Technology Toshiba Studios.
This is Sacktown Sports 1140. You never know what you might hear when listening to a Sacramento Kings game.
Out of Keegan, going for another triple. Man, is he feeling it. Keegan, can he do it? Yes!
Your home for Kings talk and so much more.
Live and vocal.
Allen Stiles on Sacktown Sports.
The young woman that was on the text line and said, I don't want to hear you guys complain about your haircuts and how much your haircuts cost. And I said, hey, well, how much or how often do you go? She responded saying every 6 weeks. So I responded saying, you win. Every 6, because I know it's expensive. You going every month and a half, yeah, I should not be complaining.
Too many diapers to count.
That's a lot of diapers. We had some fun for just now joining us, talking about I'm getting my haircut today, and AJ Brown, who is a millionaire, was still complaining about haircuts, and it got us on a bit of a fun tangent about haircuts and how expensive they are for me versus Kyle versus some of the other listeners. Shout out Jorge though. My barber is my guy. Don't get me wrong. It's just you just sat there watching it all kind of escalate.
I'm paying $0 for my haircuts right now because for the first time in my life, I got the long flowing hair going, and I just kind of, trim it back every few weeks or so.
Old coworker my old job, first guy I brought on as a manager. So we always had a really good time together, played on the same basketball team in, the little corporate league, whatever it is, about maybe 5 years younger than me. So I'm 35 now. At that time, if I'm 28, he was probably not 5 years younger than me. He was probably 24, right? He was 24, about 6'2". Okay?
That's almost my age.
Yes, he was 24, 6'2", and he was coming on home. He was coming on home slowly but surely, and if you don't know, coming on home means the hair follicles aren't frolicking anymore. So we were just having a conversation, and he's like, man, you still come in here, you older than me, and your hair is full, and I'm already coming on home, and I'm not even 25 yet. And I said, hypothetically, I said, so you wish you had my hair, right? Or my hair set up. He said, yeah. I said, would you give up 2 inches of height to get your hair back? He did not blink, Kyle. He said no immediately.
No, thank you.
He said no. Immediately. It was disrespectful how quickly he said no. Because he would still be 6.
Yeah,
he said no immediately.
You could take those 2 inches, give those 2 inches to you, and he would still be taller than you.
And I would, yes, thank you for that breakdown, Kyle. I would push back my hairline. If you want to do the trade, he would not do the trade. I just had to put that out.
Okay.
Look, had to put it out there.
If you gave me the same choice,
but you're not bald.
No, but you're saying if you take away the hair to add 2 inches.
Would you? Yes. How about that? You go bald tomorrow, but now you're 6'5".
Well, I'm 6'5", is a little generous. Okay. I'm 6'2" on a good day.
Are you doing it?
I'm good as I am right now. I don't need the extra.
Well, that's easy for you to. That's a stupid exercise when you're 6'2".
Sure, but I'm not going to 6'4" to lose my hair.
Well, I wouldn't either. But you ask look, I talk to my buddies on dating apps. You go from a 5'10" to a 6 what? A 5'10" would get you to 6.
Yeah.
But you're bald?
Bald can be cool.
I think a lot of my buddies are doing it.
Yeah.
I think a lot of my buddies are doing it.
I think the second most impressive thing Michael Jordan ever did was win 6 NBA championships. I think the most impressive thing is he made bald cool.
Yeah, he did.
Like for generations, multiple generations made being bald cool.
That's what the NBA, that's what you need. You need another cool bald guy. That's what's going on. All right, Kyle, what's going on with the Timberwolves and Kevin Durant? Brian Windhorst had this to say, and apparently as soon as the season ends, stuff starts to happen. Let's hear from Brian Windhorst on the KD conversation and what the Timberwolves are attempting to do. Kyle's getting it right now.
Sorry, there were two Windhorst sounds. I had
a lot of Windhorst today that we are getting to. So Kyle is going to break that down. Essentially, Brian Windhorst was a bit surprised as to how essentially what it sounds like is once they played that first game against OKC, they thought, okay, yeah, this is not going to work. And we need to get better immediately. And when you have somebody like Kevin Durant who's going to be available, you got to get that done. And that kind of connects to the Kings, because Julius Randle was a guy who I think could make the Kings better. How much better it makes him, that is something that we have been discussing here. So basically that audio got chopped. So we're just going to paraphrase here. But essentially Brian Windhorst said, I did not realize how serious the Timberwolves are about getting Kevin Durant. And if they are serious about Kevin Durant, I think unless they do a deal that somehow doesn't involve Julius Randle, which I'm not sure if they can still make that money work because of that $50 million. I don't know how the Kings would get Julius Randle. Kyle cooked up a couple trades for us, and I wasn't huge on any of them. It basically came to a decision of, are you overvaluing or undervaluing DeMar DeRozan? And in that conversation, are you overvaluing or undervaluing Julius Randle? Because the two deals, in the first one, the Kings would get Julius Randle and he would make about 36 mil a year. The Timberwolves would get, and could be a real situation if they don't. We've been saying that DeMar DeRozan is kind of the backup plan to Kevin Durant. So let's say Kevin Durant goes to the Mavs or goes to the East Coast, goes to the Heat. The Wolves say, man, we just need another bucket getter, and we need to stretch the floor a little bit more. Dante DiVincenzo can't make a basket. The Kings receive Julius Randle. The Wolves receive DeMar DeRozan, Keegan Murray, and a 2031 Minnesota first rounder. That's from the Kings. That was too rich for my blood, and I essentially said no. Okay, the second trade would be a monster trade with 4 teams involved, but the important piece is the Kings would still be giving up Keegan Murray and DeMar DeRozan along with that 2026 Sacramento first round pick, and they would be getting Julius Randle. Both of those deals, to me, it's just a little much, because as much as I like Julius Randle, and I think I like him more than other NBA fans, Julius Randle to me is a mini version of a Zach LaVine, where I understand it's the going rate, so it's not a terrible contract, but it's one of those things where if Julius Randle was getting paid what John Collins was getting paid, he'd be amazing. But Julius Randle getting what Julius Randle has been a couple years here and there as far as an all-star, I can't give up Keegan Murray and a first rounder, and I can't pay you $35 million.
So first of all, apologies. All of Twitter is down right now. So that's why we couldn't play the audio, is all of Twitter has crashed.
Okay.
That's great. Second of all, the Julius Randle part is interesting because I don't think he fits what the Sacramento Kings are building, even if it does work alongside Sabonis, like from an offensive standpoint. But at a certain point, there is a cost of doing business. And Julius Randle, if he's switching teams, I'm not saying he is going to switch teams.
Right.
He is one of the best 5 to 10 players that's going to be available on the open market. And obviously things could change based on, what team Giannis ends up on, or, a surprise star trade like a Devin Booker or something. But, Julius Randle, just from a pure talent standpoint, is probably about a 2.5. Like, he's not a number 2 or a number 3. He's somewhere in between. He was obviously their number 2, and they just got to the conference finals, but he was also playing with Anthony Edwards and Rudy Gobert, which is a strong defensive center and one of the 7 best players in the NBA. So it's hard to kind of piece it all together.
It is something that we will continue to try to piece together. As we talk about the future, how about getting a little bit younger? We talked about Jake LaRavia and how it sounds like he wants to stay in Sacramento, but how about even younger than that? How about the NBA draft? Maybe, just maybe, we can sneak into the California Classic if the Kings sneak into the first round. Should they trade into the first round in what looks to be one of the craziest NBA off seasons of recent memory? Allen Stiles, Sacktown Sports.
The Memorial Day Race to Savings is on. Get the best deals of the season at Folsom Lake Honda, your one-stop Honda shop.
Looking to own or lease? During the Memorial Day Race to Savings, drive a brand new Accord or Civic. Visit us today at FolsomLakeHonda.com, your one-stop Honda shop.
As a family-owned and operated dealership since 2009, customer service is our #1 priority. Our customers love doing business with us, and you will too.
Folsom Lake Honda, yeah, your one-stop Honda shop.
Skeeter here. Got a question. What's small and dark with white bands on its legs and bites during the day?
Mosquitoes. Hi, I'm Luz Maria Robles, but these are 2 new types of day-biting mosquitoes. They're invading our area and becoming a big problem.
And they can be dangerous.
But we're on it, so when you see them, report it at fightthebite.net. In the meantime, use insect repellent and drain stagnant water around your yard.
We're here to help with these day-biting mosquitoes.
Visit us at fightthebite.net.
Allen Stiles. Watch the show on youtube.com/Sacktown Sports 1140.
Or listen on the Sacktown Sports app.
I know we've been teasing some Brian Windhorst sound, and we do have some. This guy, he might be I don't know if he's number 2, but Stephen A. Smith obviously is number 1 in terms of that. That dude is everywhere. I think he'll probably take at least a month off once the NBA season is over. At least.
Where do we put Shams on this list?
He's up there. Right. Shams is above Brian Windhorst, but Shams doesn't have to do as many hits. So it's kind of whatever floats your boat. Brian Windhorst is doing a lot more TV than Shams, but Shams never stops. I would say, couldn't you argue this is a quieter time for Shams because no moves can be made right now? Couldn't you argue it might be Stephen A., Windhorst and Windhorst type people all on ESPN and TNT, and then Shams, and then as soon as the season ends, Shams goes right up to the top?
I don't know, because I think of Windhorst as like an insider. Like, I think now is probably the time for like the X's and O's, like Richard Jeffersons or Tim Leglers and people like that. I feel like I still think of Windhorst as an insider. So it's like he's providing information about the off season and the landscape still. But I think you're right comparatively to Shams, who's literally a newsbreaker, and there's not a lot of news to break.
No, not right now. But let's hear from Brian Windhorst, who is doing his insider analysis thing. This is what he had to say about what he expects coming out on draft night. Here it is.
Trade it for a player. Maybe the Spurs will trade it back. Maybe the Sixers will trade up with the Spurs. Maybe the Sixers will trade back. Maybe they'll trade out. That's going to be an interesting night. Number 2, put it up there, as Kirk would say. Bam! Now we're going to get into the big trades. Kevin Durant, I'm like 98% sure he's not going to be a Sun next year. How it works out, though, I'm about 1% sure. There's going to be a number of teams interested, but some of it is going to depend on whether they see Durant as a player they keep on a 1-year contract, or if they want to get him and give him a contract extension, which I.
So Brian Windhorst saying, I don't know what's going to happen, but it seems like something is going to happen. And that's what everybody is saying about the offseason in general. The CBA and the aprons forcing a lot of people to make decisions. Everyone's trying to get younger because younger means cheaper. Should the Sacramento Kings try to get into the first round? And this is what happens. We go through the waves. It goes from this is going to be a really good draft to actually it's just the top 3 players and everybody else stinks, to actually know you should want to be a part of this draft. We saw the same thing happen last season, and obviously last season it never turned into this is going to be a good draft, but hey, there's actually some value here. It's actually about the bottom of the first round and the second round versus not wanting to be a part of it at all. Whether or not the Kings should try to be a part of it, if they fall in love with somebody. If they truly fall in love with somebody, and everybody knows I love Grant Nelson, 6'11", out of Alabama. The dude can cook. People are saying he's kind of like a generic store Cooper Flagg. You're not terribly wrong, okay? But maybe he can do some similar things, a little bigger than Cooper Flagg as well. But if they fall in love with somebody, and if you take a shot like that, you best not miss. The Minnesota Timberwolves with Rob Dillingham, they did that this past season. Rob Dillingham didn't play at all. Doesn't mean that he won't play. Doesn't mean that it wasn't a good decision. I do think that if the Timberwolves hadn't turned things around and gotten to the Western Conference Finals, fans might be looking at that. And, they haven't had to deal with what they lost in order to get Rob Dillingham yet. But fans might be looking at, wow, you went up to get Rob Dillingham and this brother can't get on the court. This season in particular, I think now that the season's over, the hope is that, okay, this guy that you traded up for, can he play in his second season when Mike Conley is Mike Conley at this point in time and 38 years old? That got protected because the Timberwolves go to the Western Conference Finals. If things don't change, I think a lot of fans and media saying, what's going on with the Rob Dillingham thing? So if the Kings want to do that, unless the Kings make a Western Conference run, whoever they make a move for, I would argue better have a heck of a ceiling or should contribute fairly quickly.
Yeah, that's kind of the tough part about this is if you're making tinkers around the edges, you're banking on internal development for the most part, which is more specifically Domantas Sabonis and Zach LaVine, right? We talked about this when the Fox trade happened, is the thing that's going to save the trade is Zach LaVine playing up or to the level that De'Aaron Fox was producing at while he was in Sacramento. And maybe that's not going to happen. Maybe they can get one of these second or third tier point guards, and all of a sudden now we've got a wing shooter, a point center, and a playmaking point guard all of a sudden, and we're trying a new version of Fox, Sabonis, and pick Harrison Barnes or whoever else you want to pick from that group. So that's the tough part about all of this, is banking on internal development, because even if you get a Julius Randle, or even if you get one of the point guards we've been talking about, those players only have but so high a ceiling, because the teams that are moving on from them are either getting a player better than them, or in the case of like Atlanta, pivoting to a younger model type of situation.
Well, and that's what the kind of the issue was with what Scott Perry said, because when you use words like a sustainable success and a foundation, when you use words like that, and then you go out and get dudes that are 30 years, and then you go out and get Chris Paul, right? And Dennis Schroeder, you're saying one thing but doing another. So I don't think that you're able to patronize Kings fans into thinking that you're building quote unquote sustainable success. What in the world is sustainable with anybody over the age of 34, right? And if you bring in Chris Paul, your point guard, and is this a play on words? Your point guard position is not sustainable. That's Chris Paul for one random year. Then he's going to try to find a ring somewhere else. That's what it is. So they're saying one thing, but the way you build, and I'm not saying, look, you have Domantas Sabonis for 3 years. I'm not saying that you have to blow it up. I'm saying that the idea of sustainable success is, and the reason it, for lack of a better term, annoyed me, is because it's so broad. Couldn't you make the argument that Mike Brown had sustainable success? He did not have a losing season. He didn't finish out the last season, but he didn't have a losing season in Sacramento, which is something that hadn't been done in a long time. Everything is relative. So how is that not technically sustainable success? We don't know what they're saying. You don't have to stand up there and say championship, but we don't know if you're talking about the playoffs next season. It's just too broad. They're protecting themselves, which is cool, but you can't say that and then go out and get Chris Paul.
Well, think about how quick these things change, right? At the trade deadline last year, it was like John Collins, Cam Johnson.
Right.
Now we're trading De'Aaron Fox. Like these things switch on such a dime based on what the market dictates. And like Windhorst mentioned in the clip that we listened to briefly, it's like the Spurs could draft Dylan Harper. They could trade the pick. The Sixers could stick and pick at 3. They could trade the pick. The Kevin Durant trade could involve a lottery pick. Kevin Durant trade could involve a proven commodity, right? There's so many different variables that have to fall in place. And the Kings are kind of, unless they have the one guy they could look at and say, we want to go after this guy, the Kings are kind of at the whims of what the market dictates over the next few months.
And there is a guy who maybe exited the conversation. We'll tell you who that is as Jake LaRavia enters the conversation as far as staying with the Sacramento Kings. Allen Stiles, Sacktown Sports.
Sacramento weather is brought to you by Fidium Fiber.
I'm Tamara Berg in the KCRA3 Weather Center. Your Friday is looking hot. This is the first span of 100-degree plus temperatures we've seen since 2024. Expect daytime highs 100 to 105. Little relief overnight. Tonight it'll drop back to the 60s first thing Saturday morning. Get the latest forecast on the KCRA3 News and the KCRA3 app.
It's about time they
fix that pothole.
Invented better windshield wipers.
Made an internet that just works. Fidium Fiber Internet, starting at only $30 a month. It feels like Fidium. Offer available to residential customers only. Terms and conditions apply. See Fidium.com for details.
Progressive knows road trips without your pet can be tough.
Hi, this is Next Stop Dog Boarding.
Hi, it's Scott again. How's Squeaks doing? You can tell if he's stressed by his eyebrows. Oh, and his breathing should sound like this.
Scott, Squeaks is exactly the same as last time you called.
Okay, let's talk in 20 to see if anything's changed.
With Progressive, your pet is covered up to $1,000 in vet bills in case of a car accident. So next time, you can take your pet with you. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, not available in all states. Coverage for dogs and cats is included with the purchase of collision coverage and subject to policy terms.
Ready to order?
Yes. We're earning unlimited 3% cash back on dining and entertainment with the Capital One Saver Card. So let's just get one of everything.
Everything?
Fire everything. The Capital One Saver Card is at table 27, and they're earning unlimited 3% cash back.
Yes, Chef! This is so nice.
Had a feeling you'd want 3% cash back on dessert.
Ooh, tiramisu.
Earn unlimited 3% cash back on dining and entertainment with the Capital One Saver Card. Capital One, what's in your wallet?
Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com for details.
Finally, an easy way to find home improvement contractors. Just visit subcontractorsunited.com and simplify your search for home services professionals. From cabinets to windows, roofing to plumbing, Subcontractors United is an easy, simple way to find and hire a home improvement contractor. And you never have to give up personal information. So no harassing phone calls like you get from those other websites. Subcontractorsunited.com is sponsored by D&D Cabinets and Savage Design.
I'm still going for it, even with higher stroke risk from atrial fibrillation, an irregular heartbeat not caused by a heart valve problem. Over a 3-year study, Eliquis apixaban tablets reduce stroke risk better than warfarin, and over 97% of Eliquis patients did not experience a stroke. A first stroke occurred in 2.9% of warfarin patients versus 2.3% of Eliquis patients.
Don't stop taking prescription Eliquis without asking your doctor. It may increase your stroke risk. Eliquis can cause serious and in rare cases fatal bleeding. Don't take Eliquis if you have an artificial heart valve, abnormal bleeding, or antiphospholipid syndrome. While taking, you may bruise more easily or take longer for bleeding to stop. A spinal injection while on Eliquis increases risk of blood clots, which may cause paralysis, the inability to move. Get medical help right away for unexpected bleeding, unusual bruising, or tingling, numbness, or muscle weakness. Medications such as aspirin products, NSAIDs, SSRIs, SNRIs, and blood thinners may increase bleeding risk. Tell your doctor about all planned medical or dental procedures. Learn more at Eliquis.com or call 1-855-ELIQUIS.
Hi, Sacramento. It's the No Surprise guys at Bell Brothers Plumbing and Air Conditioning. Is your AC on the fritz? Call Bell Brothers. Looking to replace your old unit with a 0% financing and no payments for 12 months on approved credit? Call Bell Brothers. We're fast, reliable, and respect your time by showing up when we say we will. The price we quote is the price you pay. We are the No Surprise guys. Call today to get a free estimate on a new HVAC system, or simply schedule your $87 AC Precision tune-up to keep your system running smoothly. With more technicians, more trucks, and more experience, we get the job done right the first time. No surprises. Our technicians are all background checked, drug tested, and will leave the work area cleaner than they found it. Don't wait. Call Bell Brothers today or book online at nosurpriseguys.com. That's nosurpriseguys.com.
Only one radio program captures the excitement of hunting and fishing as it happens. The award-winning California Sportsman with Sep Hendrickson. Only California Sportsman takes you where the action is. Live on the water, live in the blind, and live with the top pros and experts in outdoor sports. California Sportsman with Fishing Hall of Famer Sep Hendrickson is your premier destination for all things outdoors. Sep's Saturday Morning Outdoors. Ultimate Bass and California Sportsman, 5 a.m. to 8 a.m. Saturdays on Sacktown Sports 1140.
Summer's almost here, and so are popsicles, pool days, and a lot of smiling. Make sure your kiddo's smile is ready with a visit to Kids Care Dental and Orthodontics. Our expert team makes dental visits easy and fun with sensory-friendly hours for kids who need a calmer environment. We can also accommodate same-day treatments, and to save you time, if your child needs multiple treatments, we can often do them all at once. Appointments fill up fast, so don't wait. Beat the summer rush and schedule online at kidscaredental.com. That's kidscaredental.com, where healthy, happy smiles begin.
Allen Stiles
You can join the show by texting 916-339-1140.
on Sacktown Sports.
$30 more minutes with you, taking you up to 2 p.m. And the Drive Guys will take you up to 6. I love Fridays. I got River Cats tonight. There's a chicken I can't remember the name of the. It might be Coop and Kennel. Don't Don't get it twisted. That's one of them at Sutter Health Park. But it's a cheat day, Kyle. I might get chicken sandwich and pastrami fries. Don't tell my doctor.
Hey, you might as well when it's a River Cat Friday.
I'm just, the sun is shining. I might just do it. Who cares, right? Who cares?
Pastrami fries, you keep talking about them, and I just...
Not for you?
I don't know what it is.
I don't know what it is.
Are we putting strips of pastrami with cheese on fries?
Chopped up.
Okay, it's chopped up pastrami, so it's like bacon bites, but it's pastrami.
Essentially, that is exactly right.
Okay, I mean, I can get behind it, but like you said, don't tell your doctor.
No, I know. I can't get that and the chicken sandwich. I can't do that.
How big are we talking for a chicken sandwich?
It's more of a it's sub-esque, right? But it's not fully loaded. I could do. It's just more of a submarine type bread. It's not a bun. You see what I'm saying? Like a Subway type loaf. It is not a bun.
Okay. Well,
I shouldn't. There's no way.
Maybe try. Maybe give it a try. Give it the old college try. Yeah, and if you don't finish it.
I mean, my salt meters are going to be through. I'm going to need so much water.
Oh, but then it's going to be 100 degrees out there at Sutter.
I can't do it today.
100 degrees, pastrami fries, and a big chicken sandwich. Allen, you're going to be just pounding water right by. You're going to be standing over the water fountain.
Next, it's time for Dizzy Bat. Can I please have some water?
Dizzy Bat.
I got to go to the bathroom too. Ugh. All right, I'm doing it.
So you've gone back and forth 3 times in the last minute. You're gonna go.
I'm getting the chicken sandwich. It's just a matter of am I getting the fries or not.
you're gonna debate when you get there.
That's right. It's just gonna be a feel thing is what we got going on. So we got the Salt Lake Bees who've been whooping on the River Cats. So hopefully we can get a W.
Buzz.
We can get a W tonight. And I know Marco Luciano's been playing a little bit of first base, so you can come out to the ballpark. It's a great time. And if you come out, I'll try to get you in a game. All right. As we talk about the game that Jake LaRavia has played while he's been with the Sacramento Kings, it's been lovely. Right. And it's been a great story so far. I really think that Jake LaRavia, and here's the crazy thing. And we get this text or call or sack chat every now and then of somebody that just says, Allen, I just wish that we would lean into the dogs on this team and the guys that we know Doug Christie really likes and just see what happens and just dig into that youth movement, right? Okay, fine. Zach LaVine is your guy. And you move on from DeMar DeRozan. Maybe it's let's just put PJ Washington on the team. Okay, fine. Fair enough. And if you can convince Domantas Sabonis, hey, we're getting a little bit younger here. You got 3 years with us. How about let's just see what we have with some of our dudes this year, and then you'll have 2 more years on your deal, more palatable for other teams that are out there, and let's just revisit that next season. Zach will only have 1 more year on his deal. Might make more sense. But this season, we're going to move on from DeMar. We're going to get a point guard, a Dennis Schroeder type, and a PJ Washington for DeMar. Just hang with me as far as the talent is concerned. And then we're going to give runway to Jake LaRavia, who's only 23. We're going to give runway to Keon Ellis. We're going to give runway to Keegan. All dudes that Doug Christie would ride for. All dudes that Scott Perry, I believe, would ride for. That's what we're going to do. That's what we're going to do. And I see that text all the time. And I feel you. And maybe that is what they do. Because this idea of it's okay if the Kings don't make the playoffs. The last couple of seasons, we had different expectations. Now, I don't have any expectations. My expectation is that you leave with a plan, that you have a plan. Jake LaRavia said this to the Basketball Insiders. I really did enjoy being there in Sacramento. Even outside of the coaches and the players, the fan base there was amazing. I could see going back there as an option. Me and Doug Christie kind of clicked pretty early just because he liked the way I play. He likes those energy guys. I thought I had a really good relationship with him. I even told the Kings in the exit interviews that if they gave him the head coaching job, I'd look forward to coming back even more. And he said this as far as his future, and this is what he told the Basketball Insiders. If LaRavia doesn't end up back in Sacramento, he hopes to land on a young, up-and-coming team looking to contend for championships soon. Aside from Sacramento, LaRavia mentioned Orlando, Detroit, San Antonio, and Denver. All teams besides San Antonio that made the playoffs. And obviously, San Antonio is going to be there very, very soon. Wemby is coming. So those are teams that he listed off if he's not back in Sacramento. But I will continue to argue that Jake LaRavia is going to get the most playing time out of all 5 teams. If you include the Kings now, he's going to get the most playing time on the Kings out of those 5 teams. The only one we've gone back and forth with is San Antonio, because we don't really know what San Antonio is doing, who's untouchable besides Stephon Castle.
Whether they're going to end up with Giannis.
Yeah, are they going to get Giannis? KD was connected to the Spurs at one point. Sohan is 21 years old. What are they doing out there? We don't know, but he's not getting more time, I don't think, on the Nuggets. I don't think he's getting more time on the Pistons, and I don't think he's getting more time on the Orlando Magic. So, and that's not to say he believes that. I think he's just saying, well, I got to talk about other options that could be out there for me, or teams he'd want to play for. And then that's the operative word, or those are the operative words, teams that he would want to play for. Would any of those teams have interest in paying Jake LaRavia enough to lure him away from Sacramento? Not those teams. I don't see those teams. But there are teams, but I don't see those teams.
Those are just the teams he would like to play for.
Exactly.
It's interesting when you're like a fringe player, you don't really have to like hide the teams that you're interested in, because it's like you're going to sign with whoever offers you $8 million,
right?
Or, go back to Sacramento. It's, again, we talked about this earlier. The financials of it all is what makes this situation tough, right? Because we know the Kings value Jake LaRavia more than anyone in the league. That's why they traded 2 second-round picks, essentially, Colby Jones in a second, to get him at the trade deadline. And I would assume on a free and open market, they would pay him the most, and probably on a multi-year contract. The only problem is, because of the club option that Memphis declined, they can only offer him $5.1 million the first year. And, it can be a 2-year deal at $11 million or a 3-year deal at 16. But if someone comes in and offers him 2 years for 24 or 2 years for 16, he kind of has to take it. Not necessarily because it's going to help his development as much as being in Sacramento, which in and of itself is a funny sentence, that Sacramento is going to help your development.
Well, and I think that's the one reason, to your point, unfortunately, that's the one reason. If I'm Jake's agent, I would say, I don't know that we can trust 2 years, even 1 year with an option. I don't know that we can trust whatever the hell Sacramento is going to do. They could bring in a wing right after you sign. They don't care. They don't make sense. Right. And I'm saying this as an agent. I'm not saying this as Allen Stiles. They don't care. They don't make a ton of sense. They could lose 10 games and want to move you. They could lose 10 games and try to bring in another wing, or you get kind of squeezed out there. I know you like it out here, Jake, but you might have to just take the money on the table, because not just because it's more money, also because you're betting against the money on the table, and you're betting on Sacramento. And this is probably the worst year to convince your agent that we should bet on Sacramento. And there've been some bad years, but this has got to be one of the worst. The agent is saying, I just can't support that for you.
Well, and this is the tough part about LaRavia specifically. And I'd say players that are on the cusp of NBA, right? LaRavia gets these opportunities because he's 23, right? If he were 29 and doing this, he'd probably be a deep bench guy somewhere right now.
Yes.
But because he's 23, you're expecting the projectability. Jake LaRavia, as it stands right now, is not in line to ever get a $100 million contract or a $20 million a year contract. So this one deal potentially could be the best money he's ever going to see. And we're talking about the difference between making a lot of money, like he has his first 2 years in the league. I think he's made like $4 million over 2 years, and generational level wealth of potentially $8-9 million a year for those 2 years.
Right.
And the average NBA career is only, I think it's like 4.5 years. So if he's an average NBA player, this is your one chance to get a little bit of money before you do the G League thing and go to Europe. And I'm not saying that's not going to happen to Jake. I'm saying that that's something that you have to consider when you're signing this first contract, or potentially leaving $8 to $9 million on the table to potentially come back to Sacramento.
Whitey Gleason is in the building, and what better way to bring Whitey Gleason back into the fold by breaking down the most negative fan bases in the NBA, the most vulgar fan bases in the NBA, and what are the bad words used the most based on each fan base. Vegas Insider with some fun stuff to close out a great show. Allen Stiles, Sacktown Sports.
Patrick was way behind on his IRS taxes.
I was in way over my head. The total amount ended up being somewhere just over $30,000. $30,000.
Then the IRS came to collect.
Started getting letter after letter. A lien had been filed against me. They were going to basically hang me completely out to dry.
He had to do something.
That's when I reached out to Optima Tax Relief.
Patrick's life quickly got a lot easier.
It was very easy, pretty much hands off. They picked up the ball and ran with it.
And how'd it go?
I couldn't believe it. I had to ask 2 or 3 times. I saved an incredible amount of money.
How does Patrick feel about Optima?
Couldn't be happier. They definitely helped me. Optima Tax Relief, the best place to call. They're the best in the business.
Do what Patrick did and call Optima Tax Relief for a free consultation. Call 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460.
Optima Tax Relief.
Testimonial from an actual client. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
An Australian hiker travels to the American West to walk a wilderness trail.
Wasn't afraid to be out on his own.
But Eric Robinson vanished in the high Uinta Mountains.
I remember thinking, Eric, what were you thinking, mate?
I'm Dave Cawley. Join me on my podcast, Uinta Triangle, where I travel the world to answer the question, what happened to Eric Robinson? Follow Uinta Triangle. That's UINTA Triangle on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen.
Hey, it's Carmichael Dave here for American Energy, and oh my goodness, I'm born and raised here. I know it gets hot, but my goodness, we're already seeing 100-degree days. Listen to me. You do not want your system to conk out in the middle of June or July or August with one of those big 100-degree stretches. You want to make sure you're good all summer long. And my friends at American Energy Heating and Air can do that with a $24.50 tune-up right now. That's half price. And if you need a new system, $3,500 off, up to $3,500 off in rebates for qualified systems. They've been around since 1981, serving the greater Sacramento area. A+ with the Better Business Bureau. Call them right now, 916-520-9990. That's 916-520-9990. Jingle Singers, take it away.
Call 916-520-9990 now.
Play and win to take your loyalty to new heights at Sky River Casino. Join Sky River Rewards today for a chance to receive up to $2,500 in free play. Plus, you'll be in the know about upcoming special events and offers. Just minutes from Sacramento, right off Highway 99 in Elk Grove. Join in the fun with rewards that add up and up. Sky's the limit at Sky River Casino. Visit us to see how. Must be 21 or over. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Progressive knows if you have to choose between everyday life and your RV, RV wins.
What, are you going to take the RV to the mountains or go pick up your dry cleaning?
RV wins!
Are we cleaning the gutters or taking the RV camping?
RV wins!
Are we getting a new passport or cruising up the coast?
RV wins!
Don't forget, you got that trip to Sweden coming up.
Oh, yeah, passport, then RV.
Yeah.
With Progressive, you can bundle your RV with your home or auto and save with a discount and spend more time enjoying those savings in your RV. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and other insurers. Not available in all states and situations.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to Bundle Deal Days at AutoZone. Well, I do need a bundle of things. When you bundle, you save. Do I save if I bundle oil with an oil filter? Save up to $12 on that bundle. What about brake pads and rotors? Bundle those and the brake pads are free. Can't save more than free. You can save on hundreds of deals during Bundle Deal Days. Ends June 2nd at AutoZone.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply. Duralast brake pads only.
Sacramento Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has the biggest selection, the best prices, and unbeatable customer service. Check them out online, sacsuperstore.com, for the guaranteed lowest price on Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram. Open until 10 o'clock and right across from Hagen Oaks Golf Course. sacsuperstore.com.
In the front seat.
I don't think I've seen you
put it on,
since.
like,
I don't even think I've seen you since your birthday.
Really?
I don't know.
Yeah, I think I saw you
on your birthday.
Yeah, but
you were here Tuesday, weren't you?
Tuesday. Yeah. Tuesday.
Happy belated.
Oh, thanks.
There you go.
Thanks.
And by the way, and I promise we'll get to the good stuff. How much you pay for your hair?
I'm not going there. I'm playing the long game. I may or may not be trying to harvest a potential client.
Okay.
The last thing I'm going to do is throw them out there and have them go, why you go there? What?
Did you hear our segment?
I heard some of it. I did hear a little bit of that. Yeah.
I'm just saying, there's some options out there.
Your poor wife, she can't go to the salon more than
I didn't say that.
Once every 6 months because her husband's out there spending all this money to get his beard aligned.
No.
Oh, every 3 weeks.
Nah, I didn't.
Sometimes twice a week.
No, I would go twice a week. I'd pay Kyle's. What Kyle paying?
Well, I pay $0 because I haven't had a haircut since October.
Okay, fair enough. All right. So this
Has anyone
is
ever told you, Kyle, you look like the guy in Stranger Things?
I keep getting called Ashton Kutcher by the salespeople downstairs. I haven't seen Stranger Things, but I'll take your word for it.
All right. It just never fails with this kid.
Yeah.
Which NBA fans swear the most? The most foul-mouthed fan bases in the U.S. They also have the most negative. So Vegas, they broke this down. It's mostly from Reddit. Whitey and Kyle, you're going to play as well. Which NBA fans have the dirtiest mouths online? We dug through over 1 million Reddit comments to find out, and the results might surprise you. And here are we have different segments here. So let's start here. Let's get right into it. The most vulgar NBA fan bases when it comes to dropping expletives on Reddit. Who is the most vulgar? And more importantly, the reason we're doing this is to figure out where the Kings are.
Are we
The reason
guessing?
we're doing this is because you need time to film.
That's right.
I don't know. We should have done this earlier, I think.
We're doing it now. Well, both of you be quiet.
We've only got
all right?
8 minutes left.
Where do the Kings fall? Who's number one, and where do you think the Kings fall in this list?
I'll defer to the gentleman whose show it actually is.
Allen? No, I'm kidding. I will say, those Brooklyn Nets fans are just potty mouths. No,
Yeah.
I'm kidding. I will say, Laker fans most vulgar. Kings it's 1 through 30. There's a list.
Yes.
I'll go Kings are 17, right in the middle.
Whitey?
This is just vulgarity?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. I will say stat spread in the news. I know that's kind of a chalky pick, but New York, most vulgar. And then there's least vulgar. Also,
We're just saying where the Kings are.
Kings are like 23rd.
Whitey Gleason. When it comes to dropping expletives on Reddit, the New York Knicks fans are in a league of their own. Over 8% of all Knicks comments contain a swear word. As far as the Kings are concerned, they're 23rd. So
Are you kidding?
We keep it buttoned up. Yes.
That's incredible. Whitey got it exactly correct.
Wow. You saw this.
I saw it, but I did not look at a single one of the results.
Okay.
That's crazy.
I didn't look at any. And what I saw was the most negative fans or whatever.
Yes, and we're going to get to that too.
So who was least vulgar?
Least vulgar.
I say Portland.
No, there's a super obvious one.
Is it the Nets?
No. And we got to be careful here. Why would I say that?
Warriors?
No. The Utah Jazz.
Oh. Of course.
The Utah Jazz. Good for them.
Sure.
Good for them.
Yeah.
How polite.
Next, The go-to swear word, we're just going to hop over this because there's two options. Everything is just the F or the S.
Well, the most common swear word Kings fans use is Robert Ory.
That's true. But
there was one I used with Kyle earlier, but I'm not going to.
It's just
I shouldn't go there now.
S bleep or F bleep. The Sacramento Kings are in the S bleep category. And here we go. The NBA's most negative fan bases. Again, we will give a guess to number one and a guess to where the Sacramento Kings fall. Swearing's one thing, but who brings the most negativity to the conversation? That is how they are breaking it down, Kyle.
I want to kind of know the time frame because I feel like this last year Dallas Mavericks fans would be right at the top of the list if this were all last season. But I would say in totality.
Well, you're right, Kyle. They don't necessarily have a time frame. They just say we went through 1 million Reddit comments. I would assume. How about this? I'll give you a huge break here. Yeah, assume it's this year, I guess, is maybe the best way to do it.
I guess I would say I'm just going to go again, Lakers. I think Lakers fans are the most negative.
I would go Philadelphia.
Kyle, I tried to give you the layup. The Dallas Mavericks, the most negative fan base, which is why
you should get credit for that.
Yeah, I
said
should.
that.
I would assume this is based on this year.
It has to be because Mavericks were in the finals last year.
Where are the Sacramento Kings?
This year? If we're doing this year, they got to be like 4th or 5th.
26th.
Whitey Gleason. The streak ends. They are 17th this year.
That was my guess for the first one.
With 28% negative comments on Reddit. Where the positivity shines, it's not all doom and gloom. Some NBA corners are surprisingly wholesome. Who is the most positive NBA fan base, and where do the Kings fall there?
Wait, so negativity and positivity are two different things?
I guess it's just based on positive comments is what they're saying.
I see. I'm going to go Kings 26th, and the most positive, Oklahoma City Thunder.
That's a great guess.
That is a good guess. I was going to say Denver, but I think Russell Westbrook is dragging that average down a little bit for them. I would say Spurs are probably most positive.
And did you already guess?
He did not.
Kings?
For the Kings?
Yeah.
For positivity? I'll go right in the middle, 16.
Yeah, mine should be higher in Kings positivity, but I can't change it now because Kings fans are pretty optimistic.
Utah Jazz at number one. 54% positive comments. And Kyle Ledbetter, Sacramento Kings, number 16.
Right in the middle.
That's everything about the Kings is just in the middle.
We are right in the middle.
Right there in the middle.
Literally everything about the Kings is 9th in the West.
Yeah, just mid all around. Whitey Gleason, what's coming up on the show today? Back in the saddle again.
Thanks, Alan. Settle down. We got a guest fest today. We got Eddie Johnson, one of the original Sacramento Kings. He's going to be with us. Also today, there's a couple other guests that, off the top of my head, I don't recall them. But
wow, too many to remember.
Yeah. Oh, we got Michael Scotto today.
Real? Okay.
Yes.
All right. I am locked in as I'm driving after my haircut.
And we've got a TV reporter from Vegas, Brian Salmond. He's an anchor there. Get the word from Vegas on whether people there, they care at all about the A's. Where's the whole A's relocation thing?
So they broke ground, right? I'm so they did, but
they said we're gonna, and then they said we kind of already did.
I thought they technically did.
Right. Well, that's what they're saying.
But nobody talked about it.
Somebody brought a shovel out there, and they dropped it. So yeah. So people are it's very confusing.
It's getting
break ground or not? Are you gonna break ground? Oh, we already did. We just didn't tell anybody.
Right. It was almost as if, well, we didn't promote it because we didn't know if we actually were going to break ground or not. That's literally what it feels like. The A's, speaking of those athletics, Whitey.
Tough one last night for the green and gold.
Man, what is going on?
The pitching's terrible.
Whitey, you were gone, so I didn't get a chance to share this with you. Right now, the A's are 23 and 34. At this exact point last year, the A's were 23 and 34.
I thought they were doing much better.
Yeah, they just got off to a good start, and then Losing what, 14 of 15 will
That'll
bring your numbers down.
Hey, a couple weeks ago, they were the last wild card. They were the last.
Yes.
They were.
That's why you play 162 out.
And that's why you should not play 162. That's what I've always said.
Have fun tonight. Who are the Cats taking on?
The Salt Lake Bees. Oh, how about this in the last couple minutes we have here? What would be the logistical issue? Because these teams come in, they look like the Pirates, but they represent the Angels or whatever it is. I kind of argued against myself because I thought, okay, I mean, every team for the A's shouldn't be green and gold because, well, the AAA team is in Vegas. But I just think it would help if every AAA team just mimicked the colors of their parent.
I think there's probably too much movement now amongst the franchise. The affiliations change too much. Teams
Right.
and you're trying to establish, like the River Cats is a brand here. It was a brand when the A's were the major league affiliate, and they're a brand now. So I think in order to make money in your market, you're trying to establish your identity separate from your team.
Yeah, and that was my argument against myself. The Oklahoma City Dodgers, or they were playing the Chihuahuas as well. We're trying to get people to love and I think it's the El Paso Chihuahuas today, actually, not the Salt Lake Bees.
Oh, yes.
Yes. So go get a hat. They're very, very good looking hats. Kyle Ledbetter, thanks for a great week. Great job as always. Whitey Gleason is back. Whitey Gleason, Kyle Draper, Jay Johnson. Thanks to all the callers, texters, sack chatters. Until Monday, let's get it back. At the bean. Head.
Don't forget my podcast.
Gotta go.
Acquire an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate restrictions